Greetings and salutations, friends, and welcome back. Tonight we're going to be trying something a little bit new, and that is a watch party. I have reached out to tonight's filmmaker and a few others requesting permission that we do watch parties here. And here's how this will work. We will play the film, and everybody will be here with me watching it. Now, since we've never done this before, I don't know if this is going to descend into a mess of madness or not, but I'm willing to give it a try. Or maybe we can, watch for 10 minutes, discuss for 5 minutes, 10 minutes. I'm not really sure. So we're flying by the seat of my pants tonight, quite literally. But there's a link to join the watch party. It's pinned in the YouTube live chat. And in a moment, I will go and, I had to wait until I will put the invitation on the Facebook feeds and the Twitter feed as well. So just bear with me one moment while I do that. And while we do that, we will welcome in the live chat. I've also been thinking about starting a new feature here called Stephen Cambion Reads Mean Tweets. But that's maybe something for another time. I'm just reminded of that, getting some mean tweets today. And somebody was basically calling me a maniac and an incel and a lunatic. And all I did was ask for evidence of their claimed 50 years of alien experiences. But this is where we're at. And this is where we find ourselves. I'm going to put that on the, I'm going to put that invitation to join the show. And please wear headphones. If you join the show and you don't wear headphones and you're playing it on your phone or your PC, it's just going to turn into an echoey mess. And then I get to hear shit from all the audio files like, oh my God, how could you do this? Some things are beyond my control, especially when we open up the show for people around the world to join. So please keep that in mind before you cry or bitch. I'm asking people, please wear headphones. Now, sometimes people don't wear headphones and it's fine. I don't know. I put the echo cancellation on other times and it doesn't help. I'm not sure what that issue is, whether it's an iPhone or Android issue, PC. I don't know. It's a mystery to me. So I've added to the Twitter feed the invitation to join the show as well. I'm going over to Facebook because these things don't exist for me to do before the show. We have to be live before they sort of work. I'm going over to Facebook right now, and you'll notice I will put in as a reply to the Facebook feed, I will put the very same thing, which is here is the invitation. Link to join the show. Please wear headphones. All right. So we've got our invitations out. The best place to get it is on the YouTube feed. It's pinned into the live chat. So we've already got somebody waiting in the wings. So we're ahead of schedule, but I wanted to begin before we get to playing the film and inviting panel members to at least talk about this a little bit. The Aviary, Disturbing Truth of UFOs by Digital Vortex is the film that we'll be doing this watch party for tonight. And the quick version is I can't say enough good things about this film. It covers some of the many things that we have covered here, but I think it does a better job of sort of chronologically telling the story of Richard Doty, a known paid government disinformation agent who literally drove a man crazy under orders of the United States government to do so. It tells the story of Paul Benowitz, of course, and of Bill Moore and many of these different people that were members of what has been described as the Aviary. And I don't know what it is with UFO guys liking to pretend they're secret agents or having this 007 obsession too, but this group of individuals that wanted UFO disclosure, this is back in the 80s, of course, called themselves the Aviary, and they all had bird names like falcon and eagle. But it's an interesting story, and so much of current UFO mythology comes from this aviary, and so much of current UFO lore came out of these guys that the film is the subject of. After all, Richard Doty is the person who originated the Serpo files. Some say he is the person that did the MJ12 files. Many people say, of course, the Dulce base, all the stories of Dulce base and the aliens and the secret experiments, that all came from Richard Doty. Now, was it all disinformation? It depends on who you ask, because for some reason, stupid people that are fans of Richard Doty think that he's telling the truth, even though he's on Gaia TV lately telling stories about reptilian aliens that rule Earth, right? It's pretty interesting. And so this film really covers that. And also, one of my favorite things that the Aviary was involved in, UFO Cover Up Live, in which Richard Doty, behind a dark shadow screen and a voice disguiser, told the world that the aliens at Area 51, yeah, there's aliens at Area 51. And besides there being aliens at Area 51, they really like strawberry ice cream and Tibetan music. Welcome to the wacky world of UFOs. But it should be noted that Digital Vortex did an incredible job on this, and this is sort of a labor of love for him. I'll be playing a mirrored copy. Oh, that's another issue. I'll be playing a mirrored copy because we don't want ads interrupting our watch party every 10 minutes or whatever the case may be. But when I uploaded the mirror copy, it said, oh, this is copyrighted material, so there may be ads. I don't know. We haven't done this before. So I've got permission from the filmmaker, but still, out of habit, I'll put our fair use banner up. And we've already got one person waiting in the wings, but I don't know that user ID, and there's no camera. Really? All right, let's see. Hello? Hello? Yeah, all right. Folks, the show is live, so if you're going to join, be ready to participate, or please don't join, okay? I don't know if this is already seeming like this was a bad idea. We have two people joined, both with no cameras, with user IDs I never knew. And for those unaware, when we open the show up like this, people do all kinds of stuff. They come and they N-bomb us, trying to get us a community guideline strike. They do, what is it called? Porn bombing. And to be very honest, I'm just not in the mood for that shit today. I had a very long day. My son's home sick, right? We're supposed to, yeah, and no nudity as well. So, I wanted to do this tonight. We will just begin without any panel members. If people join, great. Otherwise, what am I going to, were we all just going to watch me watch a movie by myself? Maybe. Oh man, sounded like a good idea, right? All right, let's get to beginning this broadcast and this story. And all of the stories of UFOs, I think this is one of the most interesting because it basically shows that people have actively disinformed members of the UFO community, actively manipulated members of the UFO community, actively spread false and disinformation, made deals with members of the UFO community, spied on members of the UFO community, and it's all from the government. The United States government did that to people, to its own citizens. And one can wonder about the legality of all of these things, which is interesting. But let's begin. It might just turn into me doing commentary if nobody joins.
This is the true story of a counterintelligence operation to propagate a modern myth. This is the disturbing true story of the Aviary.
Good narration voice.
The subject of ufology is a convoluted, densely packed topic with multiple subjects all vying for their own peculiar brand of attention. It becomes almost impossible to penetrate and discern any semblance of reality from this subject. And this, as it turns out, is entirely the point. Unless you know exactly what to look for.
There's
To try and
Falcon,
make
one of the
sense of
members.
historical UFO stories, testimony, blurry videos, and a distinct lack of any viable public evidence for the existence of alien life visiting our planet, despite an abundance of extraordinary unsubstantiated claims, then we need to delve into the history of UFOs and see if the echoes of the past are informing our present. Let's not begin with Roswell or Project Blue Book or even Kenneth Arnold, but where officialdom first systematically began covertly and overtly infiltrating the UFO community.
Yeah, and these are some of the people involved: Jamie Shandera, William Moore, Condor, and Falcon.
Which to this day leaves an undeniable cultural legacy of deceit and fraud.
Deceit and fraud. What have we been talking
Let's
about
begin
here?
with the counterintelligence operation that would lead to the complete mental and physical breakdown of a man who would ultimately take his own life because of the information the United States government were providing to him. Let's begin with Paul Bennewitz.
Yeah, maybe it's just my personal taste, but I thought the music in this was very good. But I like synthwave, so if you like synthwave, you're gonna like this movie. As far as musically goes, if not, maybe not so much.
We have an unidentified flying object.
Yeah, you're right, Aaron. That happens here. Yes, this happens here. It's the 80s, so I think the synthwave music sort of fits the theme, especially with all these blurry images and shit, you know, like blurry old UFO videos we found that he placed in here. Falcon and Condor, ML. Hey, I have that filter or that video file. I'm sure.
The story of Paul Bennewitz is the
Distortion.
origin of modern ufology and the key to understanding what is transpiring today, only on a much grander public scale.
Yeah, and I just want to mention, I always say this, you guys know that I'm always saying history is the greatest teacher. And this 2017 UFO threat narrative operation may have been the Richard Doty 2.0 of what we're going to see in this film. It's so important. So important to study the history.
Audio engineer and electronic expert Paul Bennewitz in the late 1970s, who lived in the shadow of Kirtland Air Force Base in Albuquerque, New Mexico. Paul intercepted an odd signal emanating from the base and decided to confront Kirtland's military officials with his unusual data. This unlocked a sequence of events that would ultimately lead to Paul's demise.
Yeah, it's gross, Arlene.
What began as a novel approach by the OSI unit located at Kirtland, which had recently been established in 1979, would become a legacy of tactical deceit. Paul Bennewitz, amongst others, would be used
I
as a
haven't
means
heard
of
somebody
sowing
else is making an
disinformation
Aviary
directly
film.
into the UFO
They'll have a hard
community.
time doing better than this one, though.
And
to be
UFOs
honest.
would be used as a cover for the aerospace industry, with the seemingly elusive stamp of officialdom convincing generations of a convenient lie by
We've talked
interweaving
about this
themselves
too.
directly
They used
into
UFOs to
UFO
cover
lore.
the stealth projects.
Hands and very oval-shaped eyes, very narrow nose, slit for a mouth, slits for ears, no hair on the head, kind of a bulb-shaped head.
It wouldn't require much effort because, as most people come to understand through their own experience, governments lie all the time for reasons that may
It's
never be
important,
officially
ML.
revealed.
It's very
And even
important.
if
You
they
can't
are,
understand what's happening
people
right now
involved in
without
those
understanding
operations
what
are
happened
always long
before.
since gone, and accountability is no longer possible. See the Tuskegee experiments, MK Ultra, radiation experimentation on unwitting soldiers, Agent Orange, the Gulf of Tonkin. The list is endless. So it should come as no surprise people generally share a mistrust
You
of
know,
their
I didn't
government,
invite him. I should have.
because some conspiracies are genuinely real.
He's welcome.
The term
Anybody's
conspiracy
welcome.
theorist
The
was
link
first
to
coined
join
by
is in the
CIA
description.
operatives
Is
as a
in
means
the
of discrediting
and in the
people
live chat.
involved in the public inquiry into JFK's assassination. Enter Richard Doty, the OSI operative charged with convincing Paul Benowitz that the signals that he had intercepted emanating from Kirkland were actually communications from aliens who were secretly working with government officials at the base. Doty would go on to provide
There's
an
the
active
alien
member in
lie.
the UFO community
Cover a
named Bill
secret
Moore,
project.
himself an avid ufologist and the co-author of the first book on Roswell, called The Roswell Incident. Bill Moore is also believed to have assisted in the breaking and entering of Paul's home. Richard Doty tasked Bill Moore with providing information to Paul Benowitz, and would later publicly admit to a stunned audience at MUFON of his involvement in a coordinated psychological campaign against him.
Yeah, he
To
admitted
the
to
best
this.
of my knowledge, it was all disinformation. And I was the unfortunate one who had unwittingly supplied the fuel to those who were spreading the fire. I've held my silence on this matter for more than
Vanished
6
after this
years.
UFO conference. Nobody's heard from him
Now
ever
you know
since.
the truth. Disinformation is a strange and bizarre game. Those who play it are completely aware that an operation's success is dependent upon dropping information upon a target or mark in such a way that the person will accept it as truth and will repeat and even defend it to others as if it were true. Once this has been accomplished, we certainly have a number of rude people in this audience. That's too bad. Once this has been accomplished, the work of the counterintelligence specialist is complete. They can simply withdraw in the confidence that the dirty work of spreading their poison seeds will be done by others. Those who want proof of how well the process works need only look around you. Every time one of you repeats an unverified or unsubstantiated bit of information without qualifying it as such, you are contributing to that process. And every time you do it, somebody in a need-to-know position sits back and has a horse laugh at your expense.
Yeah, and we can compare that to now. How many people repeat unsubstantiated, evidence-free stories now? Go look on UFO Twitter. See how many assholes are retweeting and talking about this conspiracy that we busted yesterday, the James Webb Telescope. It's all unsubstantiated, evidence-free claims, and everybody is helping to distribute those. Of course, many people are profiting from their distribution in the form of, monetized clicks and views. It's getting shouted out so much that they have to step in and
regardless of
tame
what
the
you
audience.
believe, what you hear or not.
Needless to say, this was the immediate end of Bill Moore's career. It turned out that what disturbed officials at Kirkland wasn't that Paul Benowitz had uncovered
Rotary
a
motion.
clandestine operation between
Thank
humanity
you.
and an outside
Show me
alien
the money.
force.
I mean the aliens,
But
huh?
the signals that Paul Benowitz had intercepted
Raise the
were
cash.
actually part of a highly sensitive project being conducted at Kirkland at the time. And
Yeah,
this
so they
information was just too sensitive
use
to be out in
alien
the open.
information to cover a black
Effectively,
project.
Paul Benowitz was conducting an espionage campaign and spying on a government facility with advanced audio-radio equipment that he had access to.
It's something else.
During this period, Paul Benowitz was monitored, provided with fraudulent documentation on Majestic 12, his computer was replaced by the government, and would spit out literal gibberish that he was told were secret readouts of distant communication between aliens and Kirkland Air Force Base.
Oh,
And
what
he
a
was
great
even flown in
story,
a private
right?
plane in the middle of nowhere in Dulce, New Mexico, where he was informed an alien base was operating, complete with carefully laid props on the ground that he was encouraged to take pictures of as they flew over.
Yeah, those are spaceships on the ground. Raise the cash, rotary motion.
Raise the cash, raise the cash, raise the cash.
Thank you. So Benowitz became convinced that there was an alien base in Dulce,
fact,
New Mexico.
every story you have ever heard about Dulce
The government
underground
told them
alien
there was.
bases and exchange programs between humanity and aliens is directly derived from the psychological campaign conducted against Paul Benowitz. Paul's mind began to unravel.
Good question.
He became noticeably paranoid and reclusive. He believed everything that was being fed to him. And why wouldn't he? He now believed that he was
using
being brought
aliens
into the
to cover
fold of a
black
secret
projects
operation,
mostly.
an operation which involved what may be the precursor to a full-scale alien invasion.
There you go.
And all
Precursor
of
of
this
full-scale
information was
alien
coming
invasion.
directly, albeit covertly, from officials at
Richard
Kirkland Air
Doty.
Force Base. Little did Paul Benowitz know that what he was being brought into was indeed a real covert operation, but that the operation revolved directly around him. What was actually transpiring was a systematic campaign to disinform, disarm, and to maintain control of the sensitive signal data that he had uncovered. His willingness to believe in the...
So Benowitz uncovered a black project, and the government sent Richard Doty and others to literally drive the man crazy, thinking that what he was saying was not black projects, but aliens in a precursor to a full-scale alien invasion. They even took him to Dulce, flew him over it, put props on the ground, told him those were spaceships, those are entrances to tunnels for the alien bases. This is a crazy story.
extraordinary was directly exploited and used against him.
Hey, we
Paul
got a first
Benowitz would
channel member.
eventually commit
Welcome.
suicide, living in a concocted fantasy
George
world
with a
that
G,
he was
welcome.
systematically convinced to pursue, using cruel lies and operational tradecraft by an uncaring government eager to keep their tactical advantage over the Soviet Union during the Cold War.
What is this?
This is the legacy of modern ufology, and the same people responsible for
Okay,
it
Angel Raven,
are
if you say
mingling
so.
throughout the UFO community to this day, spinning the same tired stories to convince new generations of the validity of the US government's involvement
Yep,
with alien technology.
Doty's still here, spinning tall tales. And he's a hero of the UFO community. After he drove a man literally crazy, the disinformation campaign. You're allowed to speak, George. It's okay.
Isn't he also promoting this whistleblower person on Twitter
Yeah,
who's a convicted felon?
Listen, I wasn't going to do it, but you know what, George? I have the goods, man, thanks to previous guest here, Area 503.
Let's see what you got, Brother Steven.
Oh, man, it is so good. It is so good. Hold on, let's get to it. Okay, so for those unaware, Richard Doty has been promoting this so-called whistleblower on Twitter, in Twitter Spaces and things like that. And it turns out that he didn't know this. Richard Doty didn't know, but that whistleblower on Twitter, who, by the way, I'm told by reliable sources is kind of conning the women in the UFO community and sweet talking them and trying to get money from them all, from multiple women, because he's in prison. And he is doing everything he is doing, apparently, just to get money so that he can, buy what is that? Vienna sausages in the jail thing, and chips and, ramen noodles. And it turns out that this criminal that Richard Doty signed off on, Richard Doty in Spaces said, "Oh yeah, I had a briefing about him. He's genuine. This is a real whistleblower, government insider." Well, when we get to the actual truth of this so-called whistleblower, Charles B. McNeil claims briefing occurred from 2000 late 2012. Much of his time, during the time he claims he was getting briefings, he was in prison. And here's some of his criminal acts for which he's in prison right now. 18 years old, corruption of minors, 2 counts, conspiracy, 4 counts, theft by receiving, 4 counts, unauthorized use of a car, 2 counts, sentence, time served and work release, 2 years probation. Then in 2005, he got work release and probation, continues to date minor victim on and off again, despite court-ordered no contact. So this is a scumbag that got arrested for corruption of a minor. a minor child, and then continued to date the minor child off and on again after he got out of prison. 2005 to 2006, off probation in Pennsylvania, charged with theft under $100 in Maryland. He got a 90-day sentence for that. Then at 22 to 23 years old, manufacturing, distribution, and delivery with intent to sell controlled substances. Schedule 2. He got 344 days in prison for that. Time incarcerated, 344 days plus parole. Then in 2009, this guy robbed a bank. And remember, this is a whistleblower that Richard Doty signs off on. George G., we got the goods on this guy, and he's on Twitter to this day, calling himself a whistleblower.
He's a cockroach piece of shit groomer.
Yeah, the first bank heist, second-degree robbery involving the infliction of theft to inflict immediate bodily injury. Then at 25 years old, he had a jury trial for bank robbery, found guilty, got 3 to 10 years old, violating parole from manufacturing charge, sentenced consecutive 1 to 5 years. Wow, that's so. 2011, he was incarcerated in Pennsylvania. At 27 years old, this is the whistleblower in Twitter Spaces that all these assholes are hanging on every word from this guy. We've talked about this before. There's so many people in UFO land that are criminals. They can't do anything else, so they figure out they can just tell stupid people alien stories. Parole from Pennsylvania. 22 days later, he's arrested in Maryland for a second bank robbery. Charged with robbery, 2 counts, 4th-degree burglary, theft of 1 to 10K, and assault in the second degree. 2013, while awaiting trial for bank robbery number 2, coerces minor to attempt bank robbery. Charges: soliciting armed robbery, soliciting robbery, contributing to delinquency of a minor. And 2013, 2014, found guilty of bank robbery number 2, sentenced 20 years, guilty of coercing a minor, consecutive 20 years, attempts escape, charged and found guilty, sentenced consecutive 10 years, total 50 years incarceration. Oh my God. And this is all the public information used. And this is his so-called whistleblower document. And so while this guy's claiming that he's, getting briefings about aliens, he's back and forth. And Mr. Richard Doty has some explaining to do. How is a guy who is in and out of prison verified his place within U.S. intelligence and confirmed to have received briefings on top secret subjects? That's what Richard Doty said about him. And the whole time, the guy was in and out of prison for all of these crimes, bank robberies. Where Stephen Canada's here. Welcome.
Yo, can you hear me?
Yeah, we can. We're all Stephen Canada,
We are all Stephen. We are a hive mind. We are a consciousness.
All right.
So wait, so Doty just pulled a Carrie Cassidy?
Yeah, he totally vouched for this guy, saying that he was legitimate, real whistleblower, and that Doty got briefings about him recently, right? And meanwhile, here's the real truth. That guy's sitting in prison, somehow getting access to a phone, and somebody's helping him get on these Twitter Spaces from prison. He's right now in prison for all these bank robberies and messing with minor girls and all this other stuff. You got a minor to rob a bank. This guy's a real piece of shit, and Richard Doty's vouching for him. Mr. Disinformation.
Who is authorizing all that internet use time and that phone time for him to spew this fucking disinfo bullshit?
That's why I think it's an option. It's got to be. How are you getting on Twitter Spaces from prison?
I think they get a little bit more freedom now, though, because I don't know my weirdness. I follow Joe Exotic on Instagram, and that dude's always posting from prison on Instagram.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I would follow him just because he's so crazy. It would be an interesting follow, right?
Yeah, it's pretty funny.
Well, we're going to go back to we'll be here for years. We're going to go back. Let's go back to the movie. But that's an interesting detour because Richard Doty started out his career being known to the UFO community as a paid government disinformation agent. He's still doing it. Well, let's continue with the film.
The problem with the truth is that some people lie for reasons which make no rational sense, even in the minds of those telling their lies. And this, unfortunately, is a fact.
Feel free to
Ask
chime
any
in
police
at any
officer
time,
who has
anybody.
had to deal with deceptive people every day. They'd be happy to inform you just how deceitful people can be, especially if it garners them attention, an escape from mundane reality, and the ability to be accepted by people willing to believe their deceit. Wanting to believe a subject doesn't necessarily mean that you should. People who wrap themselves up in the subject matter form their identities in it.
Somebody said
and
he's
feel
hiding the
validated
phone in his
by those
asshole.
genuinely seeking answers to questions. Are you really alone? Now for a historical deception of counterintelligence
Yeah, Andrew knows a
into
few
this
people in
mix,
prison with phones.
and the
That's
current
interesting.
ability to become a celebrity in your
The
own
one thing I can give Doty is that at least his bullshit in the
happens to be
beginning was
highly
original.
lucrative.
Yeah, it
Due to
was,
the
yeah.
widespread appeal of those
very
Where all these other
creative.
guys, they're just
possibility of
copy
alien
pasting.
contact.
At least his was
Many
original.
ufologists
I give him
dedicate
that.
their lives to this subject, portray themselves as secretive insiders,
Hey, Stephen Cambion,
routinely
would you
withhold
say that Doty
information,
got
and
most of
form
his
their own
lore
social
from
cliques,
the Valiant
which
4
ironically
case in
operate much like a
1958?
shadowy cabal?
I think he got
And they
some of
actively
it,
mingle
yeah.
with the very
Yeah, that makes
operatives, exploiting
Yeah,
their
they all
beliefs,
steal from each other.
which goes hand in hand with earning money directly out of you. It's not easy to admit to yourself, never mind others, that you have been duped. And if you spend a lifetime falling down a rabbit hole leading nowhere, even if you realize it, the odds are
Garaji
you
says,
wouldn't
I'm
leave,
laughing, but
because
that
your
is
life has
actually where
become
they
so
hide the
intimately
phones.
entwined in it that
Yo,
it doesn't
I
take
never
to
want to
confront
live
reality.
somewhere where I have to hide a phone
Instead,
in my
it's easier to
asshole.
viciously attack
All
those who
right, so
point
I'm
out
staying out of trouble,
irrationality,
guys.
Good
and then
lord.
offer up those dissenters as proof of a conspiracy against them, while simultaneously profiting from it. If you have spent any
This
time in the
filmmaker has a
UFO
good
community,
handle on what's
you will
really
know
going
this to
on,
be
though.
especially true,
I think.
because you see it all the time. Nobody ever wants to be talked down to, and that is certainly not my intention.
William
I think
Think
the
Bronner,
about
thing
how
that
you personally got interested in UFOs. You see
football-sized
something
bags
in
of
the sky
drugs
you
up their
couldn't
arse.
explain, read a book or watch a documentary that
I think
fascinated
the thing
you,
that really
or was it
disturbs
some
me the
sort of
most about
personal
all of
trauma
this
and a
is
willingness
that
to
they went through
accept a more
such
interesting
lengths
reality
to
in place
do
of the cruel
disinformation
reality
for
which
something
we
as
are all
silly as
forced to live in?
UFOs. What
Either
are they
way,
doing
it's
with
entirely
other
human to
subjects?
question and to search.
Yeah, well, a lot of this film covers it. A lot of the disinformation, they're pumping alien and UFO stories to cover for black projects. They'd rather you think it's aliens than think it's a top secret drone project, what was going on in the Benowitz case, according to multiple sources. He was seeing early drone tests and UAVs, unmanned aerial vehicle tests at Kirkland Air Force Base. So they convinced him that those lights in the sky that he was seeing was actually alien spacecraft on recon missions and all this craziness. It's bizarre. It works, you know?
For patterns in the chaos. People usually take interest in the subject of UFOs at an early age. Minds are lit on fire by outlandish books and documentaries offering extraordinary claims, but never any actual evidence. And that's the key. The evidence just isn't there.
Yeah, the evidence
and it
isn't
never
there.
was.
Never
Despite
was.
claims, countless books, documentaries, and podcasts. Today, we are exactly where ufology was in 1947.
Nowhere.
Nowhere. Albeit with far more stories, more sensationalism, and an increasing presence by those with official agendas to either exploit beliefs for tactical advantage or for profiteers to generate revenue out of you. So let's now look at how the history of counterintelligence operations in ufology play into the modern UFO landscape.
You're right, Steve Long. He did an excellent job with this
We'll
film.
begin
Good
with the
info,
origin
good flow,
of the
good
Aviary.
music. Yeah.
Yeah, this is pretty good.
And you know, one of the reasons that I admire it, because I know he did this on a budget of passion.
The
Nothing,
use of UFO
you know?
believers proliferating
He just
disinformation
kept
did not
working on
begin
it.
with Bill Moore or Paul Benowitz. It really began a few years earlier in the mid-1970s.
Anybody can make a
during
decent
the
film if you got
mainstream
100
reemergence of
grand,
science
right?
fiction.
But this guy
And
did
the
it
topic of
with
aliens
balls
once again impacted
and
popular
passion
culture
and
after
no,
the heyday
no
of the
funding,
1950s,
you know?
with the likes of the Roswell conspiracy re-emerging into
I have
public
more
light
respect for that,
after
I
Stanton
think.
Friedman was advised by a producer on a local radio show to look into the story. Betty
Also,
and
too,
Barney
with
Hill,
more and more
and of
tech
course
coming
Star
out,
Wars,
being in the
Alien,
palm
and
of your
Close
hand
Encounters
now,
of the
like
Third Kind
you're
became
getting
smash
more
hits at the
more
worldwide box
possibilities.
office.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, cattle
Yeah, there's people
mutilations and
making
alien
whole films on
abductions became
iPhones
popular
now.
new additions to UFO
Oh
mythology.
yeah, yeah, absolutely.
It was during this time official interest in convincing the public in the validity of UFOs truly began.
Yeah, and for
And
those
it begins with a
truly interested,
documentary
if you want to
titled
listen to it
UFOs
without us
Past, Present,
talking
and
over it, because
Future,
somebody always
later
complains about
retitled
that,
and
we have to make
as
it fair
UFOs
use,
It Has
so it's a
Begun.
watch party.
The
The link
documentary,
to
utilizing
the
the first
actual film
official
is in the
collaborative
description of the video or
involvement of the
podcast, so
United
you can watch
States
it without
government,
us if you want.
the first and only time it ever happened. The documentary, the CIA was
You're
systematically
right, Anthony.
involved in having
You did a great
produced,
job on this.
with literal spooks used as go-betweens for the producers and officials providing the testimony and visual evidence.
Wow.
Snippets of indistinct grainy UFO footage would be provided to the production
I
from
still
official
crack up whenever
sources.
somebody tries to sort how
Unsubstantiated
put off
claims of a UFO landing at Holloman Air Force Base would be made.
That's Lou Elizondo's
Clues of
whole
footage
new
which was
book.
promised,
It all
but
came
never
from Hal
actually
Puthoff.
materialized. More on that later.
I mean,
And
how many times does
testimony
that
would
man
help
have to
fill in the
get
considerable voids
caught?
in the
Being,
stories.
how many
Is
times
any
did
of
he have
this
to get
starting to sound
debunked for
familiar?
the
It
stupid
should,
stuff he was doing?
because it's exactly the same.
Yeah,
I mean, who all got
absolutely.
him? I think like James Randi get him like twice.
Today.
Yeah. And I used to
What makes
know
this particular
Steve Shaw, well, Banachek, who is now a Las Vegas headliner. And Banachek is the best mentalist magician, like mind magician on planet Earth right now. But back in the day, he was friends with James Randi, and James Randi sent him to Hal Puthoff and Targ to be tested to pretend to be a psychic. And they fell for it, hook, line, and sinker. And he was just literally using children's magic tricks on them. And they believed that he had superpowers and spent lots of money, telling the government that he had superpowers. He's still billed to this day as the man who fooled the scientists. He just doesn't expand on the scientists that he fooled are Hal Puthoff and Russell Targ, among others, which is interesting.
The documentary so
I'm in
fascinating
the wrong
and
business.
a cornerstone in UFO
Yeah.
lore is it helps to unravel the actual.
He's doing great, that guy, though. I'm glad to see his success. He deserves it. He's great at what he does. He literally can make you think that he's reading your mind. He's great at it.
But how counterintelligence agents
Nice.
went about manipulating the production of the documentary and the deceptive playbook. That
Yeah, that's
followed
another
in
thing.
its
We're
wake
trying to make
is
people
more
aware of the
disturbing than
documentary
any
because it's
concocted
that good.
alien narrative, culminating in a shadowy group coining themselves the Aviary that systematically infiltrated and
He may. I don't know,
the entire
Garaji.
UFO
No, I
community.
think he's from Australia,
And it
actually.
still operates to this day, albeit in a far more effective and manipulative mainstream form.
Our group is
Back to Bill
euphemistically
Moore.
called the Aviary, and each individual uses a code name of a bird as an identifier. We will continue to provide the UFO community with data, and we will continue to proceed in a way.
I want somebody to grab Bill Moore out of hiding and get an interview.
In 1960,
I tried. I couldn't find him. Well, I did find him, but I haven't gone any further than that. He is last that I checked in with him, which was maybe 2 years ago. I did sort of like try to find him. He's in Pennsylvania, my home state, and he's working for a school district in Pennsylvania. But he wants nothing to do with UFO people. He won't speak to anybody. This is what I've heard. I don't know.
73. Robert Emenegger and Alan Sandler.
He'd be a great
two
interview. I
well-connected
got to
TV
try.
Producers of documentaries,
Yeah,
music
yeah, he
videos,
would.
and ads
Oh, maybe we
with
could
extensive
crowdfund it or
connections to
something.
intelligence
Like, hey,
agencies.
we know you hate
Were
this, but we'll
invited to
pay you.
Norton Air Force Base
I will pay you
to
for
discuss
an interview.
proposals for
Yeah,
a feature
I
film
mean,
documentary on a number of subjects proposed by the military.
I would love to
One
see his
proposal
outlook
was
to
on
see if
advanced
he
military
sees
projects
any
in neural
parallels
control
for
being
what was
developed
going
by
on
the Air
back then
Force.
versus now.
The other
yeah,
was
I think the
on
parallels are clear, but it'd be
subjects
great to
which
hear it
neither
from
of them
him.
had any interest
Yeah.
in.
Oh yeah.
But the Air Force claimed to be interested in freely cooperating and sharing information on the subject for the first and only time in its long, deeply checkered
I still
history.
think they had better hoaxes back then, though.
Well, you
But
know,
what really sealed the deal
let's stop this
got
for a minute and
production.
talk about this. I'm sorry, because it's kind of distracting to try to do both. One of the things that I've noticed is back in the day, people who were coming up with these stories, they had to fake evidence. They had to have some kind of, fake UFO on a string or something. And there seemed to be a marked change because now you don't need any evidence. You could just tell stories. So it was a little more interesting back in the day because at least you could analyze the evidence and find out it was fake. Now, Corey Good opened the door to that. you could just tell stories for 5 years and make all this money. You don't need a single shred of evidence, right? It's weird.
Yeah, and I think they kind of do that to circumvent. That there's cameras everywhere now. We all have cameras in our pockets, in our hands, constantly. So yeah, they just have to come up with some weird reason why a camera couldn't be used. Versus back in the day where it was, like, I mean, if you were lucky if you had a camera, I guess you were doing well for yourself if you owned a camera.
Yeah, but now
But
it's even laughable. Like Elizondo was saying that orbs were appearing in his house on a regular basis. Like, bitch, you could get a Ring camera for like $30 to film your whole house. You give $30 a room or whatever. Why would you not film that? It doesn't make any sense at all. So
that's because you can only see them astrally, Stephen. You have to use your third eye to see them.
You're right. Well, we'll continue with the film, but that is a good point. Back in the day, people had evidence, even if it was fake. At least there was some kind of evidence. Now, it's nothing, But people have pulled some shit on me. I can't tell you the number of people who sent me really blurry and grainy as shit videos of things they claim are spaceships, and it's flapping birds. I can zoom in on it as grainy as it is and see that it's something moving on the sides of the so-called orb, So I guess people are still manufacturing fake evidence, but there's less of it now. Now it's just stories mostly, I met an alien in the alien tunnel. We found the guy. There's no tunnel. No, you didn't. It's like harder to catch them because of the lack of evidence. If everybody had that fake evidence, it'd be easier to debunk them. And I think that's why people aren't given any evidence, and they always give these excuses like, "Oh, I have is my personal experience to share with you," like.
Okay. What was the one I remember? Someone getting fired up.
I think one of the things that you taught me, Stephen, is that you look into the background of the claimant that's actually making the allegation. Look at this,
right? George with a G, this whistleblower from prison is the perfect example. And by the way, that was Area 503 that did that extensive background search, but he shared it with me. I didn't do it, but yeah. Look at that guy's background. Why are people in Twitter spaces licking that guy's balls like he's the bee's knees? Oh, he's going to tell us the truth about the aliens. He's a government insider. He's sitting in prison, you dumb assholes. Did anybody check? Because we have the whole history of the guy. He's a bank robber and a child, predator. And you're listening to this guy like he's telling you the truth about the aliens. And meanwhile, that guy's probably sitting on a fat stack of free ramen noodles from the women in the UFO community that I hear he is actively manipulating and begging for money, And of course, he's got some CIA framed me story for why he's in prison or so,
Oh, Christ.
It's so stupid. Well, let's continue with this. We're only 19 minutes in.
Cameras rolling was the insistence that they were in the possession of over 14,000 feet of extraordinary footage taken from multiple vantage points of a UFO landing in May of 1971. What if I told you
it's the Holloman
UFO landed at Holloman Air Force Base and it was all caught on film?
Now we know that was an airplane. No, that was an airplane. The one video that we got was an airplane. Somebody proved it.
Officials and freely walked amongst the base, speaking with its inhabitants, seeking corroboration of something inexplicable having happened a few years previous.
The aliens came.
With flippant remarks confirming the glowing object seemingly having landed.
And there's
I remember James Fox talking about this.
They met with Eisenhower. The aliens met with Eisenhower, right?
Official witnesses, testimony from Air Force
Well,
personnel.
I can't remember if it was one of his documentaries or an interview. He said something that he managed to get only a clip of the landing, but there's more to it, but he can't get it. And
as production progressed on the document.
Well, the clip that he did get was proven to be an airplane. And what's interesting about this case is, imagine you're a filmmaker and the government comes to you and they basically say, like, look, the truth is aliens landed at Holloman Air Force Base and they met with President Eisenhower at the time. And we have film, 14,000 feet of film from all these different angles of the alien ship coming down and the aliens getting out. And we want you to make a film about this so that we can tell the people the truth. That's essentially what they told these filmmakers. And then they start making the film and they keep asking for the film. They never get the film. So they have to just settle for like, oh, there's a 4-second clip of this light coming down. But that's what turns out to be an airplane flying through a valley. It wasn't what the government told them. But that's crazy that the U.S. government went to filmmakers and were like, we're finally going to tell the truth about the aliens and we're going to give you all the footage. And this filmmaker starts making the film and they never release the footage. They never give them the footage. So I guess I can understand why people believe it's true, and it's tantalizing, right? This next section tells us this story of the Holloman base and how they never got the footage.
Emenegger and Sandler kept pressing the Holloman footage with Shartle, but after multiple assurances and back and forths, it still hadn't materialized, much to their continued frustration. To help make a bit more sense of this, let's move a little further ahead in time to October the 15th, 1988.
Next, two people who have survived a close encounter with a UFO.
Yeah, this is the UFO Cover-Up Live.
Stay with us.
This was great. I watched this live on TV when I was a kid, a little kid,
UFOs past,
with my dad.
Would later appear in a
My dad kept saying, this is bullshit. You really want to watch this? And I'm like, the aliens are real.
An entirely scripted and awkward event in a long since forgotten live TV broadcast. That was once again.
Wasn't this around the time of the Gulf Breeze UFO flat too? And I think
this is before Bob Lazar.
Multiple characters from throughout the UFO community.
I'll see if I can find the year that it was originally broadcast.
Counterintelligence operatives who would use this much publicized platform.
The Gulf Breeze Gulf Breeze UFO model that was found in the guy's house is on display at a mini putt-putt course in Pensacola Beach.
Calculating counterintelligence agents.
Oh, so this is interesting. The film, this UFO Cover-Up Live came out in 1988, right before Bob Lazar came out with his story. So isn't it interesting? Like they're on UFO Cover-Up Live going, yeah, the government has alien spaceships at Area 51 and there's aliens there. And the very next year, Bob Lazar comes out with his story, convicted pimp. Well, he was convicted of being a pimp later, but bankrupt fake scientist, right? So I bet you Bob Lazar was watching this shit, sitting around, right? Smoking up, coming up with his shit with Lear. And then the very next year, the Bob Lazar story comes out, confirming that the things said in this were true. So this is an early example of the wackadoo prover maneuver. These bunch of people with no evidence said this shit, and then Bob Lazar is like, yeah, I'll say that too. And people took that as corroboration. When Bob Lazar came out with the story, people said the guys from UFO Cover-Up were right.
Didn't Lear say that he worked for the CIA at one point, Stephen?
Yeah, well, he did. He flew some missions for the CIA. He said that.
What was the name of that corporation?
Yeah, I don't know, but I know that Lear said that multiple times, that he worked for the CIA doing covert missions, and they never said no, he didn't. And he was a very qualified pilot, so who knows if that's true or what.
I'm pretty sure that part is true. It was one of those things where he flew a plane for, if I remember right, and I could be wrong, but he flew a plane for it was one of those stupid ones where it's like a shell corporation that's really, a government agency, and then they do their thing,
Yeah, it's a cover organization for the CIA. There's many of cover organizations for the CIA. Like NBC, MSNBC, CBS, ABC. Cover organizations for the CIA. Oh, we got to continue this. We'll be here for a year.
And in certain cases, those working both sides, like Bill Moore, who was also present alongside Stanton Friedman to discuss the Roswell case. Paul Shartle would also appear in this broadcast alongside Robert Emenegger, claiming that he'd seen 16mm footage of the Holloman UFO landing incident in 1971.
It's always tantalizing. I saw the footage, but I can't show it to you. But I seen it. Trust me, bro.
Why did it land? It appeared to be in trouble because it oscillated all the way down to the ground. However, it did land on 3 pods.
This live broadcast is both notable and notorious due to it involving members of the intelligence world, all of which was supposedly coming forward for the first time to publicly discuss their knowledge of UFOs.
Does it sound familiar?
In an
Government
anonymous silhouette,
insider?
of course.
Government
I
intelligence
dug up this rare
official?
live recording in its entirety. And while the broadcast was indeed live, let's remember, the entire event had been pre-scripted, and all of the guests featured were told to stick directly to that script.
Yeah.
To the
Who's writing
distaste of
who
some
wrote the
participants.
scripts?
The craft that was observed.
That's Doty.
That's totally Doty.
Alien craft. Piloted by military.
Video segments were used to portray the mysterious aviary whistleblowers, like Falcon and Condor, both secretly OSI agents mingling in the UFO community and spreading disinformation.
These are
Let's
disinformation
take
agents.
a look.
Bill, tell us how you first got involved.
I got a phone call after appearing on a radio show from a man who said, "You're the only person we've heard talk about this
Never
subject
trust
who seems
anybody
to
with
know
a
what he's
Captain
talking
Kangaroo
about."
haircut.
He convinced me that he was a
Looks
government
like a bowl
intelligence
cut, yeah.
agent and wanted to begin disseminating some information about UFOs to the public.
The man Bill is referring to is Falcon, whom we've seen in shadow to protect his identity.
That's right.
J-12 functions as a policy-making group
That's Doty.
relating to extraterrestrial activities and contacts and UFO activities within the United States. They make the policy.
I don't recall if
obtain
Doty
presidential
denies that this
approval,
was him or
and
not,
then
but somebody took the voice
field
disguiser off.
activities
It's Doty.
implement the policies.
I can hear that it's
This was the
Doty.
first time
I
that
can hear that it's
Aviary
Doty
made
even
its
through the.
public
Yeah, he's got a
debut.
very distinctive voice. You
Richard
can hear it even
Doty
through the
is
disguise.
one of the Aviary members.
Yeah, it's kind of
in
kind
shadows
of a little
amongst this live
slightly
broadcast,
nasally. Like, yeah, that's
going
him.
under the pseudonym Falcon.
Hal Putoff. I'm a physicist. I'm also director of the Institute for Advanced Studies at Austin.
Hal Putoff, another elusive
Director
Aviary member,
Wackadoo's alright.
Owl, and also
Wackadoo Putoff.
exclusively
He's the
associated with
fountain of so
CIA,
much of this
who has
shit.
been intimately involved for decades in pushing the UFO narrative.
I swear he's been an old man his whole
who
life.
joined Tom DeLonge's To the Stars Academy, a UFO entertainment investor scam, where extraordinary promises were made to investors who they were seeking funding from.
They're
to
calling it an
actively
investor
develop and
scam.
build real
And it's interesting.
UFOs.
David Wilcock is saying they stole the design of that
an
spaceship
exotic
from
craft with an energy
Stavati
source
now.
that can revolutionize the world. Look very closely at
They
these people.
stole their
and who
design that they
are.
scammed everybody with.
Take
From
notice
our
of where they
design,
come
we were
from.
going to scam
Think
everybody
about the
with.
realities of what this team has the
So
ability to
stupid.
accomplish and deliver if we're fully equipped.
Oh, there's the fake Pentagon program director.
Obviously, no UFOs were ever built. This was also done alongside counterintelligence agent
Looking like a
Lorella
billy
Zombie,
goat.
who had recently left the government and moved straight into an investor scam.
Literally finished his career at the Department of Defense as senior intelligence officer in the Office of the Secretary of Defense days ago.
Yeah,
Now
I
he's on
interviewed
stage
him.
with us.
He's a
He also
psychopath,
claimed to be the head
JC.
of an official
Psychopath, but
UFO
people
what
like
they
him.
do.
He's very
Pentagon.
charismatic and
But turned out to
narcissistic. Like
never
he
have had
makes
any
you.
official
He's
duties
charming.
with the
That's a good
Pentagon
word
and
for it.
UFOs
He's charming.
at all.
You kind of like him when you talk to
Al
him.
Putoff is also
But
involved
it's
in
an
many
act.
anti-gravity investor schemes over the years.
It bothers me that
On
he
behalf
worked
of
in
the
law
CIA,
enforcement after he got out of the
Joe
Air
Firmage.
Force.
Yeah,
Like,
here's the
I
Joe
don't know how you can
Firmage.
trust him.
And remains alongside with
Here's the
Doty,
Joe
one of the
Firmage
central
scam. They
advocates
scammed
of
people
UFO
out of millions, I
counterintelligence
think, for
and
that anti-gravity
misinformation.
scam. And Putoff was involved in that.
Many
He was
active
involved in the
counterintelligence
TTSA
agents
techno
currently
scam,
operating today
as it's been
were
described.
actively involved in
Promised
the
people
1988
spaceship.
UFO cover-up live broadcast in one capacity or another, albeit acting under pseudonyms and standing back in the shadows. Aviary members would each refer to themselves after specific types of birds, as they trawled early UFO community message boards claiming
Yeah,
extraordinary things
systems.
Admiral
while
Rascal's comment
taking part
there.
in shock TV
Mel and Louie
documentaries,
Greer, all boys from
becoming
that army.
covert sources for business, and
Yep.
generally hijacking the UFO community to sow their own brand of strategic disinformation. Pseudonyms include the likes of Falcon, Eagle, Owl, Sparrow, Blue Jay, Seagull, Hawk, Condor, Raven, Pelican, and even Penguin. This
Oh,
went
I
on
want to
for
be in the
years,
aviary. I want to be
and as
Quail.
you'll soon come to
I'm gonna
learn,
be
it
Raven.
never stopped.
We should start a new one. Just make up shit, make up fake shit. We're the new aviary. We said we escaped from the MJ-12 compound at Area 51.
I was out on the West Coast and reviewing.
Well, I was a
things with my
secret
old
space
partner,
program
and,
janitor.
Well, there you go.
He was
Yep.
much more open about allowing whoever to know a little bit
Had you
behind
clean up the
scenes
barracks
what
on
really
Mars?
happened. And
Steve Long is
I'm
joining. He's going to be
surmised it
Nighthawk.
myself, but I kept saying,
You must
was
call
it the
me
Air Force?
Nighthawk.
Actually, it was instigated by our friends with the 3 initials.
CIA?
And they were involved all along, and I just should have put two and 3 together to come up with it. But because I remember meeting them, they were all
Jason
always
Parker
hoping that
says
we helped them.
Lou
with the
Elizondo
project.
can't fit on the RV toilet anymore.
Once production on UFOs past, present, and future neared conclusion, Robert
Yeah, it was
Emmerich
creative.
and
The
Alexander
aviary idea
begged to
is
continue
creative.
pressing
We'll all
for
have
Charlotte
bird
to
code
provide the Holloman
names.
footage that they
Sounds
were
all
promised.
James Bond and
And it got to such a
007,
point
right?
during
And
production
meanwhile, it's just a
where
bunch
there
of
was nothing else
UFO
that could be
dorks
shot,
telling
as
each other
everything else that could
stories
have been
and
covered
giving each other
was.
UFO circle jerk
So,
material.
without the Holloman footage, and with plans still in motion for it to be provided, they decided to begin tackling the penultimate segment of the documentary by returning back to Holloman Air Force Base and shooting insert shots of the base itself, the control tower, radars, fire engines scrambling on a runway, jets taking off.
Yeah, so they
and a
took the
helicopter
B-roll,
hovering
but they
above
were waiting
Holloman's
for the
airfield.
good film from the
So the
government,
sequence
and it
could be
never
put
came.
together later in post, using dramatic reenactments that would be spliced together with the footage of the actual event. Once the Holloman footage was provided.
How is it that none
But
of
as you
these
might
fucks
expect,
have been like
it never
sent to
was.
prison, or there was a congressional investigation?
I
Steven?
know.
But we'll get to that
It's
in a moment.
crazy.
The documentary was now complete, but the Holloman sequence was not. It was at this point that allegedly the Air Force began mysteriously requesting back all of the footage that had been provided, most of it being utterly inconsequential. And with
Make a
that,
copy.
cooperation with the
Yeah,
official
why didn't they
United
make
States
copies?
military
I'd have made
sources
copies.
all but ceased.
Oh, you bet your ass I would. Yeah, it's
A
like,
little
oh yeah,
hard, though, to make 16
The
millimeter
decision was then
copies
made
back in the
that the
day, I
sequence
bet.
should be re-edited into a hypothetical scenario, which may have already happened. And in place of the actual footage, they would simply use cheap pastel drawings. The documentary was released to little fanfare.
Looks
and
like a
quickly
Stephen Greer
forgotten
presentation,
until it was
doesn't
later
it?
re-edited for TV in the 1980s.
Where's the porta potty?
And
Yeah,
titled
there's the aliens.
UFOs, It Has Begun.
Wait, where's
Porta
the
potty to get
film?
an
Oh, we
extraterrestrial
get.
bump in.
They do the same thing now. There's no film,
As the
so we'll
years
just show
passed,
you some
rumors
crayon
continued to swirl of other
drawings
UFO
somebody
researchers
made.
being promised this mythical
Illustrations.
Holloman UFO footage. Linda Moulton
They have
Howe,
galactic
former
immunity.
reporter and famous UFO investigator, responsible for bringing to popular attention cattle mutilations with a tendency for bending truth and
She
disseminating
killed those
outright
cows.
UFO hoaxes.
Linda killed those
Claimed that
cows.
she
I'm
was
sure
offered
of
the
it.
same footage in the late 1980s.
Definitely did.
But once
Absolutely.
again, never materialized.
Got that look in her eyes.
And it was Richard Doty, amongst a few others at Kirtland, who were also responsible for this. The Holloman footage became a perpetual dangling carrot for many UFO researchers, suckered into the vicinity.
People
of
try to
official
find that footage for
narratives
years.
push. And it worked. The myth was born, took on a
I just
life
wonder what
entirely
Linda
of
was
its
trying
own,
to do with cow
with people
buttholes.
taking elements of this story and bending it to their own means. Decades later, in
Apparently,
2013,
though, what is it? In
Robert
some
Emmerich
countries, they
probably
eat
emerged and
cow
tell his story,
vagina.
alongside a newly reformed
On purpose?
Richard Doty
Wow.
in the 2013
Yeah, no, it's a
documentary
thing. Definitely.
Mirage Men. Doty, by this point, had rebranded himself as a private citizen, fighting for UFO truth, lamenting his sinister past and diminishing his role in driving Paul Benowitz to an early grave.
How is it
Only
that this
now,
guy still
in the
has a
interim
platform
between
and he's being
1979
featured
and
on other
2013,
podcasts
Richard
like he's a
Doty had almost
legitimate, credible
single-handedly
source?
become
I don't get it.
responsible for
Exactly.
creating
It's so
much of the
stupid.
UFO
Isn't it
mythology
so stupid?
between then and 2013.
Well, I
Like,
remember in Mirage
How
Men,
do
he
you
would come on.
how do you publicly admit that I ran government disinformation campaigns on UFO community members, and now I'm a hero of the UFO community? Like, it doesn't make any sense.
Well, he would always come back and say, yeah, I gave disinformation, but some of the information I gave was true, and that's what gets people hooked.
Yeah, and
It's like, yeah, but just 2 seconds ago, he admitted to lying.
Yeah, and he's vouching for criminals that are bank robbers and are like, messing with underage girls and in prison, and he's vouching for them.
See, and here's the thing. He released a Twitter post a couple of weeks ago saying that there's an upcoming whistleblower hearing. He's going to testify at it, right?
What?
Yeah,
Is he
it's on his
oh,
Twitter.
he's going to, yeah.
Yeah. He's going to join the whistleblowers at that next hearing.
Well, you gotta keep all the stupid people interested in your tall tales, I guess.
Is that going to be like another thing, like when
conventions,
Congress and
on
Rush and everything,
podcasts,
or?
and in TV shows spinning
Maybe, I
entirely
don't know.
concocted fantasies,
Oh God, that's
mingling
going to
the
be a
mundane
laugh riot.
truth with extraordinary fiction, which, as any counterintelligence operative would tell you, is exactly how the lies are made plausible. If you've ever heard of Project Serpo, the alleged exchange between humans and extraterrestrials, which is eerily similar to Steven
I wouldn't believe
Spielberg's
that,
Close
Craig Williams.
Encounters.
Yeah, the Serpo
Well,
files.
That was Richard Doty too. Moonlighting under different pseudonyms, all working towards
They
the
caught
same
him
goal.
dead to rights on that. He
to
still
create
says it
an
wasn't him.
incredible story.
Yeah, they got him by his
Robert
IP. They
now
know it came
amended his
from his
story
home
too,
computer, all of it.
seemingly
Under
confirming
multiple
rumors that
fake
had been
bank
whispered about for
accounts.
decades that they actually did receive footage of the Holloman incident, and that 9 seconds of this footage was covertly edited into the Holloman sequence in the documentary Past, Present, and Future. And here it is. This footage has been debated for years.
This is what has
and the
been
history and
debunked. It's an
baggage surrounding
airplane.
it makes
Somebody
it far
proved
more
it
compelling than
conclusively.
anything else in
It
the
was an
documentary.
F4 Phantom, right?
And at face value,
I don't
it does
recall
seem odd.
the type of
The craft appears
aircraft.
to be
It
glowing.
might have been a
And,
Cessna
just as Paul
or
Schartl
a
said,
small
it
engine,
appears to be
single
oscillating.
engine.
Let's see what Paul Schartl said about the Holloman footage that he allegedly saw in its entirety on UFO Cover-Up Live.
This is it. This is the
Saw footage of
evidence
three
we got.
dish-shaped crafts. One of the craft landed and two of them went away.
Why did it land?
It appeared to be in trouble because it oscillated all the way down to the ground. However, it did land on 3 pods. A sliding door opened, a ramp was extended, and out came 3 aliens.
Oh, Lord Ludacris says, yeah, it was an F4
Well, they were
Phantom.
human-sized. They had odd gray complexion and a pronounced nose. They wore tight-fitting jumpsuits, thin headdresses that appeared to be communication devices, and in their hands, they held a translator, I was told.
Yeah, for whatever reason, the aircraft had a light in front of it.
Officers went out to meet them.
You actually saw these aliens on the film?
Yes.
This film footage sounded very, very special, and we wanted to use it as the ending of our television special.
And did you? Was it in your special?
Well, although the Pentagon had been very, very cooperative all the way, at the last minute, the film was confiscated, and we lost the whole finale of our show. But what I saw and heard was enough to convince me that, the phenomenon of UFOs is real, very real.
So is it actually classified footage of a UFO shot at Holloman Air Force Base in 1971? No.
We'll get the explanation.
Footage, but it was shot at Holloman. It's actually an insert shot taken during the production of the documentary of a plane, an F4 Phantom to be exact, coming in for a landing with its high beam on. And this is indisputable.
So there you go.
To stop for a second and explain
Famous
something.
9 seconds of
I've
footage.
been working on various aspects of this film and other productions for a
F4
long time,
Phantom.
and I have been closely
From
following the
B-roll.
Holloman UFO case since before this millennium began, primarily due to the fascinating story with this footage. I always suspected it was not what was being presented, and went to great lengths to obtain
Yeah, the filmmaker
information on
nailed it.
Speaking with radio show hosts who had the opportunity of speaking with Robert Emenegger.
Here's the enhanced footage. You can see it's an airplane with its high beam on.
And I may expand upon it one day. I indeed discovered that this footage was a lie, much in the same manner of how another filmmaker did. And this is what I need to address. On the 22nd of May 2023, YouTube user Here Suddenly released a video that absolutely crushed me, because it systematically laid out what I already knew, that the Holloman footage was a lie, and that the reprinting of UFOs past, present, and future that was remastered from an original negative, and in this particular scan, that shot is revealed to be nothing more than a plane.
Yeah, that's money
and I kept
shot.
this to myself, quietly working away for a long time, hoping to be able to present it.
Fuck, how long has this lie been perpetuated?
Since 1988, people were talking about that footage.
A truly
being an alien
deserves all the
spacecraft coming down.
Prompt in his presentation. I licked my wounds and quietly subscribed to him. Good work.
Yeah, he did a great job too.
The carefully constructed story of the Holloman UFO landing was an elaborate lie. And if this footage was a lie, then the people telling us that it was genuine footage coming from the government are also lying. And not only that, but so too are those who made the documentary and also made these claims.
It's too bad we couldn't get that footage from the Air Force.
The entire Holloman case is built on a lie, constructed entirely by people either directly involved with or closely associated
And of
with
course, it's for-profit
intelligence
TV
agencies.
projects and intelligence
But
agencies
this
working
isn't
together.
entirely the end of the Holloman UFO landing story. There is another aspect to this story that isn't well known, regarding a Polaroid taken during a private screening of the Holloman footage in the late 1970s, which has been allegedly shown to a number of people interested in this case over the years. And this was even alluded to by Robert Emenegger in the finale of the documentary Mirage Men.
It was a daylight shot of a light ascending on Holloman Air Force Base. And then
Oh, it was
with that
ascending
little
all
tip,
right
that's
on the
all
front of an F-4
that I can
Phantom.
tell you that was genuine. A landing of a craft at Holloman, it was film, very brief. That's all. You know, I can tell you it's genuine.
And just to say on camera, you never saw the woman landing.
Trust me, bro.
Not really.
Okay.
Yep. More trust me, bros.
Can we just wait for that?
And meanwhile, he was behind the deception. He knows what that footage really was.
I'm trying to think how to answer that. I knew what the film was about, all the details of it, but I never saw a real projected version.
Is there a still of it?
Yes.
The whole
One
time
day
he knew
this
what that
image may
footage
actually
was because he
materialise.
directed that
But
footage
if it
being
ever
filmed.
does, you can be assured that it will not be what it appears to be.
Yikes.
What a piece
Because
of
the entire
shit.
Holloman story, while fascinating,
It
is
just amazes
entirely
me that somebody can
fabricated.
just walk around
Not
and
to
be
mention,
that full of
That
it.
thing
found
went for
aspects
20,
of Holloman's involvement
20,
in
30
UFO
years. People
mythology.
thought that was real footage of an
The
alien
Holloman UFO
descending at
landing case is case
And then the whole
closed,
the
and
story
every
falls.
other story associated with
Eisenhower
it
meeting,
is
all
also
the
contaminated.
it just falls apart.
In order
Like
for the Holloman tale
dominoes,
to have flourished
you know?
inside the minds of
Dominoes
UFO
falling.
believers, it required being a fantastic tale of intrigue and covert footage that accompanied the production. What was actually presented became second fiddle to what may have been, or perhaps one day could be. And this is the same playbook in operation today. Tell an extraordinary story, provide innocuous evidence to support it, use counterintelligence operatives as disclosure whistleblowers, and let people's minds do the rest of the heavy lifting, filling in the voids of the narrative with
That's a
endless
great shot
possibility.
right there.
Then once people become restless at
Pentagon's secret
multiple
UFO
assurances of
program.
UFO disclosure, shift the goalposts and declare it a cover-up, lending further credence to the baseless claims. Meanwhile, everybody who's feeding from the subject profits from it every step of the way. Time after time, this is exactly how it's done.
It's all one big mind fuck. It's a psyop. Disclosure is the psyop.
Yeah, has been a member for 1 month. Says I feel there are aliens in my house. Get some footage.
In the
I
late
need it for Griff mode.
1980s, around the same time as UFO Cover-Up Live, a man
Heck, I
named
feel like
Bob
I've made
Lazar
it
was
to
quietly
aliens.
being courted by John Lear,
Oh,
the
here
son
comes
of
the
the
Bob
man who
Lazar
invented the
section. Yeah.
Learjet, along with modern UFO guru and exaggerated storyteller George Knapp. Lear, Knapp, and Lazar would later take drunken excursions out to the perimeter of Groom Lake,
Drunken excursions.
where Lazar would show them operational test
Dude, I
flights
bet his
of
party life
supposed
was
UFO
I just got
insane.
smoked
that he
up. You
claimed to
see
be
that?
working
It's
on
the
a secret
aliens.
reverse
And look,
engineering
all the
program
live.
at a
Why
secret
don't we ever get any
location known
clear
as
footage
S4
from these
at Area
assholes?
51.
It's a light in the sky.
But
It
it
could be
wouldn't take long
anything.
for Lazar's story to take an Aviary-like
It
plot
could be a
twist.
flare. That could be a
He
balloon with a
mysteriously
flare.
decided
That
to
could
deploy
be
the
a
very same
Japanese
methods used
lantern,
by the Aviary
Chinese
Dude,
lantern.
I
to
bet
disclose his supposed
I bet
knowledge.
partying with John Lear was just
In an
like
exclusive
insane.
TV interview
I heard
for
he was
local
really
Las
into
Vegas
drugs,
News
but
with
I
George
don't
Knapp,
want to
Bob
speak
Lazar appeared in
ill of
silhouette
the
to
dead,
discuss
but
his
I heard he
alleged
was a
story.
party guy. Yeah,
Only
he
now
liked
he was
bourbon,
supposedly frightened for his
cigars,
life
and
and going public
drugs.
to protect himself. He then proceeded to profit
Do you like
directly from
hookers
it
too?
alongside George Knapp,
I don't know. I
selling
know Bob
expensive
Lazar
videos to a
sure
niche
did.
market of devout
Yeah.
believers and making numerous documentary appearances. For a man who claims to want to shun the limelight, his history reveals a man who is anything but shy of attention. He flew a pirate flag over his home, made a car with a rudimentary rocket engine that he routinely demonstrated in his neighborhood.
Yeah, to some people, that's proof he worked on alien spaceships. He made a rocket car. But people don't know he grew up next to a guy who did that for a living, selling rocket motors
And all of this
and
came long before
rocket
his
motor
reverse
plans.
engineering UFO tales. His education is spotty at best. Despite the repeated
I mean, I
claims,
think,
his story has
man,
significantly
if I
altered
really
over the
wanted to,
years.
I could probably build
He
a
is most
rocket car.
assuredly an attention seeker, but avoids any
He had
and
a
all
rocket
public
bike, too,
debate
when he was a
because his
kid.
story simply cannot hold up to even mild scrutiny. The fact that he cannot validate the academics responsible for his supposed education at MIT is an issue.
What was the year of graduation? Probably 82, because I think I left
Who
there.
doesn't remember the year they graduated MIT or Caltech? I think you'd remember, you know?
Is there some, did you say your records at
What a stupid thing to claim.
disappeared?
In Los Alamos and probably everywhere else.
Is there any way you could reconstruct your coursework and your professors?
Oh, sure. I've got people that.
I do like his website though. It's so like 90s HTML.
Yeah, it looks like
still.
GeoCities or some shit, right? Or like AOL.
Yeah,
Looks like
yeah.
90s dial-up. Yeah.
Professors at MIT and Caltech?
I don't know. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'll still just go back and look at it just for nostalgia. Sometimes you get some cool stuff up there.
I used to buy glow-in-the-dark paint from him. It's a long story. He sold the best. He really did. He sells the best glow-in-the-dark paint that you can get in the world, dude. It's like twice as bright as everybody else's.
Was at,
Yeah, he names his high school professors, his high school teachers.
Taking entire swathes of his story wholesale from popular works of fiction like Close Encounters, scientific magazines, and even Billy Meyer, one of the most notorious UFO hoaxes in the history of the subject.
That and his sport model are a one-for-one match, just about.
The saucer shape with this is the one that looks like a mine.
Look at this hokey ass shit from Billy Meyer. No, that's not on a string or nothing. That's real.
Similar to that.
The Billy Meyer movies. I don't think
Mikey Horn maniac is still out there.
It's got some that fly around the tree. And it's got
Oh wait, I did see that. Yeah, I did see that.
and there's some other hovering.
Yo, I might have some shit like that for
what's great
Grift
about the
Week
Billy Meyer
going on. I got some hubcaps and shit. We're gonna see what we can do.
One of the ones he took a picture of looks exactly like the one that I looked on.
Hubcaps are kind of hard
As
to
for the
find
elusive
nowadays.
Element 115,
Yeah, I still
which he
have
claimed
a
to have stolen
sport
from Area
model flying
51
saucer model
and
as
secreted
well.
away with the help of George Knapp for protection. Well, that element was already much hypothesized and discussed as early as the 1960s.
Yeah, people say he predicted it. I
and
have
as
it in a
close to
chemistry
few
book from
weeks as before Bob Lazar
1978.
went public in Scientific American. Despite this, it is a story that has become as popular as ever, primarily due to George Knapp, with the help of another individual named Jeremy Corbell, who is now
Monetized.
publicly disseminating misrepresented classified material, once
Monetize
again
your
coming from
curiosity.
official sources. And for as unimpressive as all of the George Knapp and Corbell leaks are,
He doesn't
they
make
are
any money from
genuinely
UFOs.
classified
So
leaks.
shut up.
And that being the case, it's illegal.
He said that shit on a
Anyone doing
monetized
that
pod,
without the consent of the
monetized.
government
He said that on a
should
documentary he
be in
got
jail.
paid to create.
Either way,
I don't make any
whether
money from
overtly, which I
UFOs.
suspect in Knapp's case, or unwittingly, as I suspect
Yeah,
in
well, I was watching
Corbell's
something where he
case,
was like, "Oh yeah, no, my income
something
comes
is
from real
wrong
estate."
with both Corbell
right.
and Knapp.
No,
And the
his
profit being
daddy's
made as a
income
direct
comes from
result
real
of the
estate,
literal
not his.
propaganda they are
He's a spoiled
proliferating
rich kid.
with what appears to be a green light from officials unconcerned with somebody disseminating classified Reaper drone screenshots and video shot on Navy vessels of adversarial drones doing distinctly unremarkable things, and in some cases just misrepresenting blurry stars in the sky obscured by bokeh, which are an artifact of the camera's aperture. To then claim that these
I don't
objects
care
are
what
breaking
anybody
the
says.
laws of
That shit
physics,
is
for
pyramid
which no physicist
spaceships.
has
It's
ever
not
confirmed to be the
bokeh.
case,
Pyramid
doesn't take a
spaceship.
brain surgeon to
Pyramid.
understand that things are not what they seem to be, especially when Jeremy Corbell, George Knapp, and Bob Lazar go out of their way to avoid public debate where they would be expected to answer difficult questions
Don't forget
that they
that
are fully
29
aware
palms
cannot be
bullshit.
answered if
Yep.
the story is to
It was
persist.
flares, and he knew it was
See
flares.
Eric Weinstein's
They
recent
told him it
proposal
was
for Bob
flares.
Lazar to sit down and discuss
And he
his
ran
supposed
with the
knowledge
story
of
anyway.
theoretical physics
He
with an actual
investigated it.
Yeah,
academic
Bob Lazar ran from
Wow.
Eric
Yeah, that
Weinstein.
kind of let that sink in a second.
Corbell, Knapp, and Lazar himself have heavily profited from UFO documentaries, podcasts, t-shirts, convention appearances, even UFO model kits. They routinely lie by omission, bend any truth worth bending, and ignore
I still
vital
want that sport
context
model
to
kit, though.
sensationalize their profitable tales.
This
Isn't
is a
there a
good.
new
They claim to
Lazar
seek
movie
truth.
coming out?
Yeah,
But
it's
if
supposed
you
to
try
be.
to
Yeah.
sit them down in a room with an actual academic on what is currently the single most popular show on Earth, at the request of Joe Rogan himself, then their MO changes from publicly commenting on any and all UFO-related topics in virtual real time to mysteriously vanishing
Rogan
from the public
asked
sphere altogether.
fucking Lou
Until the
Elizondo if
coast
he
is
knew
clear,
anything
then
about
they
Bob
re-emerge
Lazar,
with even more stories,
and fucking
perhaps another
Elizondo was
classified
like,
leak,
"No,
or
I
a
don't.
misrepresented
Not
balloon,
really."
missile
But meanwhile, the
flying over a
sword
war
model's
zone in
sitting at the
Iraq, or
motherfucking
flares
desk.
dropped over a military
Really?
base in California.
Because
You get the point.
it's a big club and they
Something is
don't
wrong.
bust each other.
And if you're
So they
unable
all
to
just keep making
recognize
money.
it's not
Don't
because
say
you're
anything
stupid.
bad about the other
It's probably
grifters.
because you have no knowledge of the
It's an
deceptive
unwritten
history
rule.
of this subject.
Good afternoon. A photo has surfaced that a lot of people are claiming is proof that
The
the
Roswell
UFO
slides.
incident was real.
Oh,
It's a
God.
picture of an alien-type creature, and they claim it was taken in 1947 in Roswell.
Richard Dolan, a man who promotes himself as the bastion of respectable so-called ufology, but in reality has made it his livelihood
Richard
to ensnare
Doscan.
himself in profitable hoaxes, like Jamie Masson's infamous Roswell Slides event, which
He can give
turned
you
out to be nothing
superpowers.
more than a museum exhibit. Richard Dolan also publicly claimed that he knew what was in the classified UFO briefings.
How much is his remote
But once
viewing
that
class? I want
information
to say
was
it was cheaper
released,
than the
it
rest.
turned out that the information he was providing wasn't accurate at all.
Yeah, and we busted him. Richard Dolan went on a public live stream like a dumbass, and he said, I've just been given, you know what, we should find that because this is so important. Richard Dolan, he has this shtick like he's the serious UFO researcher, you know, and that he is like the studious one, you know. The other people are frauds. First of all, he's right now selling classes for how you could get superpowers with his wife for $149. I think you could get remote viewing superpowers from Richard Dolan. I think that's
cheaper than some of the ones I've seen.
Oh God, it's so stupid. Yeah, I'm not going to be able to find it right now, but it's so funny because it's like he says I've just been given some information from what's in the classified UFO briefing, and he says it over and over and over again. And I sort of called him out on that. It's pretty funny, and he got so pissed about what I did that behind his paywall, he like bitched and cried about me. I think I got it. It's so good. I want to share it because it ties in with the film. They're talking about this, right? Like he totally lied on a public live stream. And he said, I've just been given information from the classified briefing. And he's supposed to be like an educated man, and he didn't know that that would be illegal and he would get arrested immediately if he disseminated shit from a classified briefing on YouTube like a dumbass. So I busted him real good. We're going to share this before we continue with the film because it's funny and it ties right in. Caught selling another fake story. Did someone really risk 10 years in prison to leak him classified information? Or was this yet another fake anonymous source he won't share?
Richard Dolan caught using another fake source to sell another fake story. Richard Dolan lied.
Fuck you,
he has
Dolan.
no classified
Lying
information to share. If he did,
superpower
leaked it to
right
him
now
would face jail time. His source and the info he shared was fake.
He'll be remote viewing you the next time you take off your pants.
Like he claimed. If he was, there would be consequences for him. He ran with a fake source he didn't bother to verify yet again. You cannot take notes from classified documents and leak them, not without risking jail time.
Steven, did anybody ever get an identity on the old guy from his interview?
Yeah, and he worked in a supermarket. He never did any of the shit that Dolan claimed.
Punishment may be up to 10 years in prison.
He worked at a supermarket?
Or could even get you charged with treason.
It came to my attention
There's him
that at least
about
one
me.
guy out there just thought,
I'm the guy.
really
Okay.
just tried to rip into me over this.
I did.
And it was brought to my attention, and I was like, what are you getting so worked up over here? Like, accusing me of leaking classified information.
He's the one that said he leaked it.
You know, better get a lawyer and all this. No, I mean, I didn't leak any classified information. This is all third hand. This is apparently from the classified portion of the UAP report. No, I mean, I didn't leak any classified information. This is apparently from the classified portion of the UAP report. I didn't
got his ass good.
So
man.
maybe this will be something that we'll be diving into more in the future. I mean, I didn't leak any classified information. This is all third hand. And a alleged description of what is in the classified document. I don't feel that what I did was wrong in the least. This is apparently from the classified portion of the UAP report. Doesn't mean that I don't have a moral compass. I like the things that I do. I want to share with you information that was leaked to me. I'm not here to say that that I know this is true. This is apparently from the classified portion of the UAP report.
Busted, motherfucker.
What are you getting so worked up over here? Like, accusing me of leaking classified information. I want to share with you information that was leaked to me just about an hour before I went live. This is apparently from the classified portion of the UAP report. One guy out there just thought, really just tried to rip into me over this. So maybe this will be something that we'll be diving into more in the future.
You ripped yourself.
Yep. And here's the interesting part. I destroyed his grift because his grift began, this scam grift began with, just before broadcast, ladies and gentlemen, I was just leaked portions of this classified UAP report, and we're going to be talking about it tonight. And he did one video before I busted him, saying that this is total horse shit. If you were leaking classified information on YouTube, the feds would be at your door, you dumbass liar. So one of two things, either your so-called source is completely and totally fake, or you're risking 10 years in jail to make a YouTube video, you asshole. And so you notice how he said we're going to be diving more into this? He was going to have a whole series of what was in the classified documents he was getting, and we busted him. Busted. All right, back to the film. But it's interesting. You know, I like that good people doing research kind of share information, because he just shared the story in his film, but I wanted to show people what was behind it because I'm proud of that. We busted him good. I had people behind his paywall getting me the videos of the shit he was talking about me and sending them to me. It was beautiful. That was beautiful work. All right, we're going to continue with the Aviary film. We don't have much longer to go, like another 30 minutes.
Time after time, we see people portray themselves as knowledgeable insiders, but it always turns out that their actual knowledge leaves much to be desired.
Yeah, they're fakers. Frosters.
Stephen Greer, a man who brought together a number of UFO officials from all walks of life discussing their encounters with UFOs in the Disclosure Project, but in reality, a literal huckster responsible for disseminating hoax documentation, quoting officials with lies, claiming to have debriefed every president and CIA director in the last 20 plus years.
I proved that was
UFOs, with no records or evidence of any of these alleged briefings ever having taken place. There was
His
also
camel toe gives him away.
I was just about to say that.
Terrestrial, and promoted as such to sell his awful documentary Sirius. To be a
It's that bullshit Atacama money, huh?
Who also operates an ongoing business involving private alien contact, where people pay thousands of dollars to go out into the desert or stand on a secluded beach and meditate as someone drops flares out of a private plane on the horizon. Edgar Mitchell, the sixth man on the moon, was undoubtedly courted by counterintelligence agents on the UFO topic and died a believer due to what he was being told behind the scenes. It turns out by dubious people who have almost certainly already been referenced or soon will be in this very video. The now infamous Admiral Wilson document came from Edgar Mitchell's estate after his death, touted as the UFO leak of the century by Richard Dolan, but refuted adamantly by Admiral Wilson himself as complete lies, both publicly
Dolan was involved in that
Dolan
scam
personally.
too. Yeah.
The Admiral Wilson memo is almost certainly fanciful fiction, tailored to suit the whims of a billionaire being exploited for money and his belief in the subject. And that document's author is none other than Eric Davis.
Yeah, he just
Another
admitted he
dubious
wrote those
so-called
notes.
academic with kooky fringe theories employed at the time
I
by
just
Robert
remembered
Bigelow
something
to
about
look into
Nolan too. He
UFOs
was
on his
pushing the
behalf.
Montauk story at one
Robert
point.
Bigelow, a billionaire.
I wanted to take a moment though to talk about this because this shit is funny. The Eric Davis, look,
kooky
this is the shit in Eric Davis's wackadoo research papers. Look, it's Albert Einstein talking to Barney the fucking dinosaur, and we're supposed to take this asshole Eric Davis seriously and believe him that he was having meetings with people who were looking for the alien crash retrieval programs. And come on. And a lot of people
What the fuck is he smoking, man?
I know. Look at this
What's
shit.
going on the left over there? I think that's a glory portal, man.
That's a self-hand job. That's
a self-hand job. Yes. And by the way, the Air Force got called out because they wasted like $1 million or more, I think, on having this asshole Eric Davis write these reports, and this is what they got for their money. Fucking Barney the dinosaur having a conversation with Einstein, right? And what is that? A plateosaur? I don't know how you say that. There's like Einstein's talking to Barney the dinosaur through a goddamn portal, and we're supposed to take these people seriously? It's so stupid.
It's a
I think that's the first time I've seen the graphic.
It's so stupid. That's why I wanted to show it, because it's so stupid. And he got paid like a lot of money to write this for the government, and then when they got what he did, they called his research crackpot research. The government said that Eric Davis is a crackpot. People get mad at me. He's a serious scientist. I'm like, then why does the government say he's a goddamn crackpot? Why does he got images of Barney the dinosaur talking to goddamn Einstein to a fucking wormhole glory hole in his papers? This is so stupid.
Fringe theories employed at the time by Robert Bigelow to look into UFOs on his behalf. Robert Bigelow, a billionaire who was initially conned into purchasing Skinwalker Ranch and initiating the NIDS investigative team, which also featured
They
such
told him there was all
luminaries
this
as
paranormal
Cole
activity
Kelleher,
and he should buy
who
it.
co-wrote the first book on Skinwalker Ranch with George Knapp. Another UFO
I seriously wonder how the whole thing even started. Like, I've heard the story of the
that intelligence
people dealing with the haunted ranch, but like,
campaigns.
I really want to know, like, whose idea was it? Like, let's go find Robert Bigelow
behind the
and buy
scenes,
this from us.
both as an
Well, he was
investigative
spreading a lot of money
journalist,
around the
who manages
UFO
to
community
forget how to
for
practice journalism whenever he covers the subject of
It was like
UFOs.
Mark, I think.
He is also most assuredly the reason
Okay,
his
so he was
friend and
actively, like,
podcast
looking
co-host
for these
Jeremy
places.
Corbell
Someone may have just picked
is
up
able
on
to
it.
get his hands on
Got it.
unimpressive but
Makes sense.
genuinely classified leaks. Due to his murky intelligence connections, his historical proximity to the topic, and a distinct lack of journalistic rigor on the subject matter, is evidence enough to suggest that appearances are certainly not what they appear to be with this individual.
Yeah, he's no
Today,
expert. He's a huckster.
counterintelligence operatives with murky histories have interwoven themselves directly into the UFO community. And recently, they began targeting STEM PhDs in the academic fields to help provide an air of authenticity to the topic. Eric Weinstein was a target of this operation, but has thus far not taken the bait, and recently publicly condemned it for potentially
Weinstein's
attempting to
calling
recruit
bullshit
him
on all these
in a
hucksters.
disinformation campaign. Another academic is Sam Harris, an extremely popular philosopher and neuroscientist, who has the same story as Weinstein, who also refused the bait.
Yeah, they try to
And then there
recruit
is
credible
Professor Gary
people
Nolan
to
of
bolster
Stanford
them.
University,
And here's this
who
clown.
freely admits that the CIA came to his office in Stanford and asked him to start looking into the subject of UFOs.
Stanford professor, an immunologist doing medical research and building companies, and all of a sudden one day the CIA shows up at your office?
Right. No, of course. I mean, like I said, I mean, first I thought it was a joke. I mean, I really thought that somebody was about to put me on candid camera and make a joke of it.
And has since become an advocate for it.
He always wears
To
eyeliner.
such an extent that he was recently
on
recruiting
his public
investors at the Tech
appearances.
Summit, making the extraordinary claim that he was weeks away from being shown actual UFO wreckage by the government.
I mean, I could say this. I was working with a group about 7-8 years ago, and I literally
No
got
eyeliner
within
in
a
this
few
one.
weeks of gaining access
Maybe
to
it's
one
just
of
when he's on
the
TV.
one
I
of
don't
the
know.
objects. And when the people who didn't want
Gary
us to gain
Mascara,
access to it
people are
found out
calling
about
him in
it,
the
they pulled
audience.
some bureaucratic
He's always wearing
administrative tricks
mascara.
and snatched it away.
Again, does this sound familiar? Academics are being quietly recruited in private by people directly connected to the intelligence sector, quite possibly by Hal Puthoff himself, if history is any precedent.
Yeah.
And they are all being asked
Who's
to
buddies
use
with
their
Dave Grush?
expertise
Put
to
off.
lend
Who's buddies
credibility
with
to the
Elizondo?
subject
Put
of
off.
UFOs, or as they have recently been rebranded, UAPs.
Put off
However,
doesn't put
very
out.
few academics have taken the bait because upon cursory inspection, there is
Damn, what a
absolutely no there
mindfuck
there
this is.
and no evidence to ever
I
support
told you
there
this
ever
is
having been a
great. This is
there
a great
there to
film.
begin
This is
with.
one of the best
Enter a
documentaries on
man named
YouTube, I
Travis
think.
Taylor, a TV personality currently the lead in a reality TV entertainment program titled The Secrets of Skinwalker Ranch,
He was against the UAPEA,
which may just be the
right?
single best example
Yeah,
anywhere
because he didn't want
how
them coming to
science
Skinwalker and
should not
taking
be
whatever goodies
conducted.
they find.
Was recently
'Cause
revealed
that's
to
his
have direct
cash cow.
ties to a secret Pentagon effort to investigate UFOs, but in reality is bested in virtual real time by a video game designer named Mick West, along with Travis Taylor's Pentagon efforts, which failed to identify virtually anything that required critical thinking.
Yeah, that's a Batman balloon, you asshole.
Stars, balloons, you name it, they
God.
failed to identify it. To such an
The
extent
day
they
that
even failed to
Batman balloon
understand
got
how to
released,
use
man, that
basic
was
star charts.
depressing.
These
That
are
was
not the
something.
caliber
I
of
knew what it
people who are
was right
going to
away.
bring
I'm like,
UFO
that's a fucking
disclosure to the
Mylar. That's a
masses.
Mylar
But they
balloon.
are individuals who are happy to enjoy the lucrative benefits that the UFO community provides them, with the convention circuit and residuals from a show that is as popular as it is downright stupid. Then there is David
As
Fravor,
popular as it is
a fighter
stupid. That's a
pilot
good
with an
description of that
extraordinary and
show.
compelling tale, who doesn't seem to be able to keep the details of his story straight, along with co-pilots and other planes involved in the alleged Nimitz incident at the time of his encounter. And none of them even once thought to operate any of the sophisticated camera systems in their planes to actually document what may have been one of the most extraordinary
There was
encounters
a report
in
that
the history of the
some
planet.
CIA person
Not
told
one of
Fravor
them.
recently that the Tic
Wouldn't you
Tac
want to
was a
take a picture?
motherfucking
Does
craft
nobody
from
believe that it wouldn't have
Lockheed
been protocol
Martin
to take
or
visual evidence of this
Northrop
encounter?
Grumman or some shit.
Yeah, I think that it was plasma. I think that it was a plasma device, but I have a whole presentation on that. People aren't aware, but there are these devices that can generate plasma balls in the sky, and they're used as sort of decoys. And that's what I think was being tested in the area, and he just happened upon that test. You know, it's as good a theory as any. But you know, at the end of the day, it's like, who cares about the Tic Tac? I don't. Like, okay, you saw something, you can't identify it, so it has no value then. It's just, oh, it's a big mystery. We couldn't identify it. And the stories keep changing.
It's a compelling
you know?
story. But
I think he said originally, like when he first saw it, there was a like a disturbance in the water, like another crash in the water.
Actually of a different
it made me think. I mean, there's submarines that can launch drones and such.
Yeah. The footage provided of this particular incident is once again grainy and unimpressive, and proof of absolutely nothing out of the ordinary. Meanwhile, Fravor and co. became embraced by the UFO community.
Yeah, he's working UFO conventions
and he
now.
sure seems like a believable witness. But upon closer inspection, the story just doesn't hold up to scrutiny, and discrepancies between all of the pilots allegedly involved further dampens any authenticity. Not to mention that David Fravor went on a podcast tour that culminated in a UFO parade, riding around in an open-top
That's
car.
interesting. They deleted the
None of
Batman
them
balloon
called
story
Bell,
after they put it
and
out
bizarre,
because they were
which isn't a
embarrassed.
great look if your credibility is on the line.
I remember when I think it was the debrief that
My
came
name is
out with
Lou
the Batman
Elizondo.
balloon originally,
And as a career intelligence
and then
officer, I am accustomed to being involved in
Corbell
close-haul
ran
UFO
with it like
programs
shortly
involving
after, well, like a little while later.
Elizondo, another counterintelligence.
Yeah, and I think that photo
who
came
loves to
from
do
George
the
Knapp
podcast
originally.
I'm not a UFO guy, not a ufologist. I never have been, I never will be. I'm a counterterrorism and counterespionage guy. I do counterintelligence, counterinsurgency.
He's not a UFO
That's
guy.
what I do. And
But
it
he
just
ran
so
a UFO
happens
program
that
for
in
the
2008,
government,
I was asked
and he
to apply the
and he
same
wrote a
skill sets
UFO
into the
book,
UFO
and he was on a
community.
who,
UFO
out of the
show
kindness of his own
on the
heart,
History Channel. But he's
left
not
the
a
government
UFO
and
guy.
decided to dedicate his life to UFO disclosure and monetizing the subculture. The problem is, he's a professional liar. All counterintelligence agents are. It's what they do.
Yeah, I
And
agree
they are
with that.
trained to do it convincingly. They will look you directly in the eye and smile at you with sincerity as they lie to your face. And in fairness, it is their job. But unfortunately, for those unsuspecting
Psychopaths.
people caught in the crossfire, They effectively
Psychopaths.
derail
CIA
people's
loves
lives.
psychopaths and narcissistic sociopaths and people like that. Yeah.
Over the last decade,
Yep.
UFOs
Look
were
for them.
systematically rebranded as UAPs by officials trying to distance themselves from the historic stigma of the subject. And Lou Elizondo was at the forefront of spearheading that campaign, most assuredly in preparation for a political campaign that never actually materialized.
He's still saying he
It was
might
having
run
the
for
groundwork
Congress, I
systematically laid for it by the likes of John Podesta, Hillary Clinton,
Who,
who
Elizondo?
learned from her husband's
Yeah,
alleged public
yeah.
interest in the subject in the 90s.
Yeah, good luck with that torture
when he
czar
requested
title.
Roswell be investigated, only to discover nothing of note.
Could you imagine a guy that has to run
Hillary
against
Clinton
him,
promised
hearing
on
all
numerous
his
talk shows to once
stupid
again reopen
alien
the
stories,
books
and you got to
when she
run
gained
against
office?
him in a real
about
Senate
UFOs
race
in
or
Area 51
Congress race?
and if you looked in, because if I was president, that's the first thing I do. I go right into those files and see
Right.
what was going on.
Right.
And he said that he did do that.
Yes.
And that he didn't find anything.
Well, I'm gonna do it again.
Only for it to end as predictably as you may expect, with quiet whispers of discontent from intel agencies, poised to capitalize on it as a springboard for a new campaign of political distraction. This is most likely why in 2017, during a hostile administration to the intelligence sector, they took the narrative into their own hands, which really reached its zenith during the pandemic in 2020, when imprisoned eyes around the world during lockdown with nothing better to do were inundated from officials and dubious journalists.
Yeah,
all
do you remember
promising
the
UFO
lockdown?
disclosure
It was
that
endless
never came to
UFO
pass,
shit. It was
but nothing more than a
nonstop.
highly convenient and welcome distraction from the horrors that most people were facing.
UFOs
during
and
that
Joe
period.
Exotic.
Christopher Mellon, another official with
Tiger
deep
King was
historical
awesome.
connections to the
It
intelligence world,
it made me
who, along
happy
with Lou Elizondo,
for a
helped
little
leak the
while
3
during that
nondescript
shit
grainy
show,
UFO
you know?
videos disseminated via the New York Times' Leslie Kew, another dubious UFO advocate masquerading as a journalist. These videos have been prominently featured in practically every news article and UFO documentary since,
And they're
including
nothing
this one.
extraordinary.
And they are themselves
2 of the
deeply
3 completely
controversial.
debunked, I think.
Once again,
right?
It's not the videos themselves that are compelling, but the stories that accompany them. But the problem is, it's no longer
I think all of them have been
1973,
debunked
and
now.
grainy UFO videos that are cut short to obscure
Yeah, I
whatever
think
it is
so.
that's actually being misrepresented simply aren't good enough.
We have a new person joining,
John
but
B.
I don't like the
Alexander,
name.
reportedly one of the aviary's
Frank
leading
Gallagher?
instigators,
I don't
spoke on
know.
COVID, a man so enshrouded
they
in the
left.
paranormal at official capacity that he was immortalized in the 2009 film The Men Who Stare at Goats, based on the book of the
I
same
need to
name
go back
by
and
John
watch that
Ronson,
movie. It's been a minute.
chronicling the
Oh,
government's
it's funny
creepy
as shit.
experiments trying to create MK Ultra-like psychic mind assassins. John Alexander, along with other counterintelligence operatives like Richard Doty, Hal Puthoff, Lou Elizondo, and Christopher Mellon, took control of the UFO topic and began contacting researchers spreading fictional tales of UFOs and alien contact. Alexander appears in countless UFO documentaries and is not shy about his alleged interest in the paranormal. His proximity to all of the deception and cornerstones of UFO mythology, which they themselves created, along with Doty and Puthoff, is truly on a staggering industrial scale. In the case of John B. Alexander, this is a man who somehow managed to find himself entwined with virtually every aspect of the paranormal: psychics, remote viewing, UFOs, demonology, ghosts, Bigfoot, werewolves, and even Skinwalker Ranch.
In other words, he's a
If it's
total
weird,
wackadoo.
He's already been there and helped shape the narrative.
I always say
before
pick a
we even
lane,
heard about it.
right?
And Alexander, along with
They're
the rest of the so-called
cross-pollinating. They're
Aviary,
maximizing
we're
their
all doing
reach.
this.
I can't tell you how many
Taxpayers'
people tell me their
expense.
UFO story, and
There
then
is
they
an
start telling me about their
indisputable pattern,
superpowers, and I
and it
just zone
involves
right
teasing
out.
the
I'm like,
public
oh
with
shit.
fantastic tales, innocuous evidence, and using the interest.
You got to
to
put that
generate
lie
official
detector to
funding
use when you
via
got
taxpayers.
in-person visits,
Or
Steve.
Oh,
alternatively,
I got it ready,
siphon
man.
private
It's going to be
profit out of the
fun.
sheer
I
interest
already
the
got a few
public has
people
in topics
booked.
which
I
fascinate
got 2, I
on a
think,
human
maybe
level.
3. I'm looking forward to the in-person guests. I think it's going to be a different kind of show when they're right there in front of me, you know?
Why is this even happening? The answer to this is probably very simple. It deflects attention from domestic
Still think you
defense
should have kept
network
the gas in the
inadequacies,
couch.
shields the military and private aerospace sectors, sows discord, and disorientates adversaries. And it's also lucrative. Very lucrative. There is no downside, except for having to proliferate extraordinary lies. And those who do so are held up on pedestals and promoted as heroes, even if their personal behavior, in the specific case of Lou Elizondo, shows anything but heroic efforts. In his specific case,
Yeah,
he's been
faceless
caught lying and
bureaucrat.
using alternate social media accounts.
What a
to
pussy.
intimidate and
Oh, I'm
harass
going to make a
people
fake
who
Twitter
threaten his
account to
narrative.
harass my critics because I'm
Actively
a
attempted
pussy.
character assassinations
What a pussy,
of
this
those
guy.
asking
This guy
valid
was in the
questions
military. He's a
of his extraordinary
pussy.
claims.
Show
The best
me on
form
the
of defense is
wait.
attack,
Yeah.
especially those asking pertinent questions. Again, this is
Show
straight
me
out
on
of
the
the Aviary
style
playbook,
where Steve
which
Cambion
is
hurt you
actually
on the
counterintelligence
internet,
training
Lou
that
Elizondo.
taxpayers funded
Show me on the
through the government.
style. He came after me with
Promoting
that
the belief
account,
in
that
UFOs
asshole.
also helped shape popular culture to such an extent that when somebody sees something that operates
I thought
in
it
the
was
sky
him
they
because
can't
I was like,
immediately
nobody cares this
identify,
much about
they don't think of
Elizondo
it
to
as
defend
classified
his
Lockheed
honor
Martin
coming
projects.
after me.
Most
And it was
people just see a
nonstop. It was a
UFO.
lot of,
Classified black projects operate
him
for
and a
decades in
bunch of
total
other
secrecy.
fake
The
brand new
stealth bomber was
sock
also at one
accounts.
point classified and was
Isn't that
responsible
against the
for
law?
untold amounts
Isn't
of
that like
UFO
online
sightings.
harassment or
And it
some
was
shit?
operational
I don't
in
know.
active
Yeah, I
duty
would think.
in the
I
early
don't know.
1970s, but only officially disclosed in 1990. Coincidentally, in the same time frame, the Bob Lazar and the Aviary were making all kinds of extraordinary claims throughout UFO
Yeah, that's
culture,
not a coincidence. They
changing
were
the
covering
landscape
those
into a
stealth
more approximate
programs.
resemblance of what it appears as today.
What are they covering for
For
now?
anyone who lived during the 1990s and had an interest in UFOs, then you'll understand just how popular it became. The
That video
X-Files
is
quickly
fake as
followed
fuck.
Bob Lazar's stories.
I agree.
Independence Day, released a few years later, along with Fire in the Sky and Men in Black, derived from another popular UFO myth, soon followed those. If you lived in the 1990s,
I didn't like the Men in Black
you couldn't
comedy
turn on a
thing.
TV
I thought
without
it would
seeing
be better as
sensational
a serious
documentaries on the
movie.
topic.
Like,
The alien
if there really
autopsy
is
hoax
Men in
was
Black,
born
that
of
would be
this
a great
period.
movie.
So
Like
too
them
was the
going and
mythical
like
Chuck Clark UFO
grabbing
tape.
people. Like, you
Allegedly
better shut the
the
fuck up
greatest
about the
UFO video
UFOs.
ever
We're gonna
filmed.
kill you and your whole family, bitches.
Publicly,
Right?
but that may probably change in the coming years due to the unethical behavior of
I
both
did like the
Logan
Men in
Paul
Black movie though
and
as a
James
kid.
Fox.
I thought
This
it was
too
cool.
was almost certainly
But
another
looking back
hoax
on
that
it now,
was
it's the
intended to
not-
product of its
phenomenon
time.
This
during
is
that
not
period,
who they're
but was
pretending to
instead
be.
hoarded away by Clark
This
himself
person's user
for
ID is
reasons
Jackie
which only
Bam
he
Bam.
understands.
Hello?
Chuck Clark was a former resident of Rachel, Nevada. He would routinely dig up illegal surveillance equipment on public land, operated by the nearby base known as Area 51.
Yeah, this is a
and was
story. They
himself
were
heavily
illegally
involved in
putting
ufology
sensors on
and
public
promoted
land.
around the world at the height of Area 51.
Oh yeah, they did.
infamy.
I remember that.
Chuck Clark may well have been involved in the production of this mythical UFO tape. One day we may find out. But the odds are we probably won't like what we find, if we do.
Oh, crash retrieval legacy programs.
Imagine for a second a hypothetical legacy program, but not an official program to reverse engineer UFOs and keep them a closely guarded secret, but instead an informal patriotic legacy program for people in different aspects of the military, intelligence agencies, and the aerospace sector, to continue to serve their country by systematically weaving lies into the counterculture, to maintain strategic tactical advantage.
Look how
over
long they covered up
adversaries,
the
and to have
SR-71
fun
when it was
and to earn a lot of
operational
money
until
in
they
the
went public with
process.
that shit.
Decades.
Right.
Oh, this guy was full of shit. Remember he had the Walmart alien that he took pictures
Bizarre
of and
deathbed
said,
confessions of aliens and UFOs from
Yeah,
officials
this
intimately
shit.
involved with the likes of Lockheed
somebody
Martin
found it on
and the
Walmart.com
aerospace
right
sector
after he did this shit.
that are later proven to be
Bro, this
outliers.
guy reminds me of Paul
Start to make
Hellyer,
far
man.
more sense when you think about it from a tactical vantage point of a counterintelligence operative.
Here goes
This
that
isn't just
clown
being
again.
done to confuse you, but to confuse their counterparts in adversarial nations. Now, to be clear,
Yeah, maybe they want China
this
to
isn't a
think we do have
proclamation that
alien
every prominent
technology, so
UFO
they leave us
advocate
alone.
is
Who
a
knows?
counterintelligence agent. No. What I am saying is that there is an awful lot of counterintelligence agents in the UFO community.
We have talked
They
extensively
have a
about
history
this.
of targeting energetic and enthusiastic believers in the subject, co-opting them sometimes knowingly or unwittingly, and using them as vessels to proliferate convenient propaganda and to
Fuck,
siphon
what a
money
mind
for
fuck this
themselves.
is, Steven.
Yeah, this
Everybody
is.
needs
I really think
except
this
for
is
the
the
people who
truth.
absorb
And
their
let's
warped
stop
new
this for a
reality
second.
and believe that.
Let's think for a moment about all of the government people that infiltrated the UFO community. Besides Lou Elizondo, we've got Dave Grush. Besides Dave Grush, we've got Anjali, who worked for the Defense Intelligence Agency in information warfare. David Grush also worked for the United States government in information warfare. We've got John Ramirez from the CIA. We've got John
Jim
Alexander.
Semivan.
We've got Jim Semivan. We've got Jay Stratton. We've got all of these intelligence people in the UFO community. Now, imagine if they all infiltrated like the comic book community. That would be a story, right? Like, what are all these spooks doing at our comic book conventions? But they're all at UFO conventions, and this is just all okay. This is not okay. And I think that this filmmaker, Digital Vortex, nailed it. And he's one of the few people that I think picked up on this. We've got Dark Journalist, despite what I think about some of his more woo shit, he picked up on all this intelligence infiltration into the UFO community. I did. TTSA had something like 150 years combined CIA experience for all the different people that were involved in that. That's a lot of spooks, and they're all infiltrating the UFO community, and no one seems to notice. Oh, and then, of course, Richard Doty, he's in Air Force intelligence. There's so many of them that I can't really even keep track of them all. And then we've got, who's that other guy that claims that he's like he was like the real life X-Files guy for the FBI. He's a sort of Latino gentleman.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I remember that guy.
Yeah, we've got him. There's so many people from the government. It's crazy. And they all jump into into the UFO community and start telling all these stories and spreading all these stories about aliens and government cover-ups. You got to think at some point, is this an intentional, like, is this a psyop? Like you were saying, George G, this is a mind F. Like, it could be. Why? But it doesn't seem very coordinated to me, right? But who knows? There's so many government counterintelligence people, and the fact that so many of them were involved with or trained in information warfare makes me think there's something to the psyop part of this,
right?
You know? Yeah. Let's continue. We've got just a little bit, but 10 more minutes.
And lies.
I didn't think we were going to get through the whole thing.
Subject really died for a while.
Lies used as a shield for the
before they brought it back.
Defense infrastructure in
yeah, they rebranded it UAP,
military-industrial complex,
and then new people to promote it.
Tactical
got the New York Times on board to print lies about Elizondo's career that never happened.
Most people interested in UFOs are simply fascinated by the topic and the stories, and search for answers to escape their mundane lives. But the problem is that fiction is being presented as a fact, and many people derail their lives pursuing it. And some break with reality entirely, even if they're not being purposely pushed to breaking point by their own government like Paul Benowitz. The end result is exactly the same. Now, this doesn't mean that you shouldn't.
Spook retirement is a UFO Social Security program.
Its very premise speaks to many people on a primordial level. You should be free to believe whatever you wish.
Oh, Bob Dean was Air Force intelligence as well. So many of them. I got to write them all down.
You can understand that people lie for reasons that make no rational sense. People enjoy attention, and especially those who claim they don't want any. People like
this psyop is doing
finding
so
meaning
much
and
harm to
companionship in
people's
their
mental
lives.
health. You know, the
And
world
I
is
think
such
so
a
too, yeah.
slippery
They see as
slope.
far bigger than themselves. And these are the very
people get
human
lost in this
traits
shit,
used to
you know.
exploit us.
I've seen people get divorced,
Today,
and we have our
those
Murder
most
in
closely
UFO Land
associated
series.
with intelligence
Some people get so deep they
are those
freak
most
out and kill
popular,
people over this
propagating
shit.
UFO narratives in the mainstream.
So there's definitely
Access to
victims of
anonymous
the.
whistleblowers,
If it is an op,
which always
there's
turn out to be
real world
counterintelligence
victims of it.
operatives pushing low-level classified intelligence, and they are all undeniably interconnected through historical proximity, and are always present during key events in UFO mythology.
They're all working together.
This just
that's
isn't
why.
possible by chance.
We have spacecraft from another species.
We do, yeah.
Each re-emerging with new insights and anonymous sources, brief snippets of edited, low-resolution, misrepresented videos that lack context, but that are accompanied with extraordinarily enthusiastic stories that expand upon the perpetual UFO mythology, but no evidence.
I never wanted to be on national TV. No offense.
Too late.
And no evidence at all to support anything ever being alien. Neither is there any evidence of any.
She's
data
another one. I'm not a
whatsoever
UFO person.
supporting any craft
Oh, look at her
actually
Twitter.
defying
All
laws
she
of
tweets about is aliens and UFOs all day
The
long.
convenient rebranding of UFOs to UAP in official terminology
This shit
simply
makes
to
me
disassociate
distrust
from
the
murky
government
historic
even
stigma of the
more.
subject.
Yeah.
If you
Right.
want evidence, there is all the evidence in the world to support key mythology
And
in
if
the
they do
UFO
all of
subject,
this with
being an
UFOs,
ongoing
what do they
partially
do with like
orchestrated historical
politics?
counterintelligence
Right?
operation
Good
Yeah.
lord.
to propagate convenient mythology.
Well, there's something called a
and they
perception
cover for any
management
number of
operation
agencies
where
and
they try to
official
manage
sectors
the
for any
perceptions
number
of the
of
people.
reasons.
So,
What began with the
and there's
Holloman UFO
there's
landing footage
Mockingbird,
from Paul Benowitz
and then
in the
people.
1970s
Oh, I gotta
slowly
stop this
evolved
for a
over
second. We'll talk
decades
about this for a
into a
second. People don't realize it, but it used to be illegal for the United States government to use propaganda against their own people. Guess who made that legal? Barack Obama. Barack Obama got rid of that part of our laws that make it illegal to use propaganda against its own citizens. So now they legally can use propaganda against United States citizens, and we can't really do anything about it. That's crazy, right? Land of the free, home of the brave. They're brainwashing all of us, and you know they own the media. Look at these and big tech. You know, there's these recent admissions that the Biden administration went to Zuckerberg and was like, kill that story or else, and he did it.
Wow.
Now I think he's got his tail between his legs because he's worried Trump might win and he's going to end up in the pokey. So he started telling the truth, and they did it to Twitter. Look at the Twitter files. They made Twitter do exactly what they want to kill this story. Don't let this be shared on your platform or else. And, you know, that's perception management. They're trying to manage the perceptions. And I don't care what anybody says. I'm not political, but them killing that Hunter Biden laptop story, claiming it was Russian disinformation. And here we've got 50 signatures of intelligence officials saying, oh, it's definitely disinformation. And then we find out years later, oh, the whole story was true.
And how is it that those 50 intelligence
they never got prosecuted?
Yeah, they still got their jobs. What the fuck?
This is crazy. Yeah. Yeah. And my favorite government program, though, was Operation Midnight Climax, where they got a whorehouse and then they got the whores to dose every customer coming in. And then they were filming them through two-way mirrors, seeing what LSD and different doses did to people. And like, what are you going to do? Go home to your wife and go, honey, I went to this whorehouse and I got roofied. Like, you can't say anything, you know? So that's
nuts.
And that's our government. And then, of course, Gulf of Tonkin. There's so many examples of government lying to us to achieve a desired outcome. And my other favorite, weapons of mass destruction. I mean, maybe it was just a complete and total intelligence failure, but it was an awfully convenient one, right? It always works out. The war hawks, you know, they gin up this stuff. And remember weapons of mass destruction. If you're old enough to remember that, dude, it was on the cable TV nonstop. Every news program, weapons of mass destruction. Danger. We're in danger because they've got weapons of mass destruction. Weapons of mass destruction. Weapons of mass destruction. And they were like screaming it from the rooftops for 6 months. And then everybody. Think about it. Everybody in the U.S. population was like, well, I don't like war, but I guess we have to because of the weapons of mass destruction. And then they went in and did whatever they were going to do. And then we find out years later, oh, there was none. We were wrong. Sorry.
What do you think? Yeah, Dick Cheney got rich off of that shit. And what do you think of what do you think of the gossip that Dick Cheney is the gatekeeper at the top of this motherfucker?
Well, it's true. And you know what? One of the interesting things about the whole Iraq thing is the Halliburton money. If you follow that money, it's ridiculous. And they did so much shady shit. Like, for example, they had contractors. Like, let's say, for example, they had mechanics that were contractors for Halliburton. But the problem is the military, the Army, the Marines that were there, the military members that were there had trained mechanics who were basically told, just hang out because we're going to have our contractors from Halliburton work on these Jeeps while you, who are also being paid as a mechanic for the Army, just fuck off because we get a lot more money doing it this way. And it wasn't just mechanics. It was food service people. It was electronics technicians, computer people. There was hundreds of Halliburton contractors in Iraq doing the jobs that were supposed to be done by our military, and then we're also paying them. I think they made trillions, Halliburton, during that.
Shit, that's organizational nepotism, bro. That's what that shit is.
So the weapons of mass destruction was all an op to get the government contracts, and this may all be an op. Look at all these assholes, all have for-profit. Lou Elizondo started 4, I think, or 5 for-profit UFO companies since 2017. Why? And then we've got all these other assholes, and they've all got their hands out, like, oh, we'll investigate UFOs for you. It's a big problem, but we're experts. And they're pushing this threat narrative, and we got to find out what these things are. And they all want government contracts. It's crazy. Well, we'll get through the rest of this. We've only got like 7 more minutes here. I didn't think we were going to get all the way through.
A broader public operation in a warped bubble of reality, even seemingly blindsiding officials from the establishment
Well, if you need to make more
with
shows,
its newfound urgency for public funding.
President Obama says that there is footage and records of objects in the skies, these unidentified aerial phenomenon. And he says we don't know exactly.
This must be a few years ago. He looks awake.
That it is.
I would ask him again. Thank you.
They're asking you, you dipshit.
That's scary to think that dude's in the White House right now. We got to survive till January something.
There are numerous intelligence
He's
and
probably
military
not too
officials
far away from
intimately
painting
involved
with his own
in
poop.
consistent operators in these numerous kooky fields: parapsychology, remote viewing, UFOs, ghosts, and even demonology are where we should be looking. As to who was then and who now holds the keys to the legacy of the Aviary. John Alexander, Hal Puthoff, Richard Doty,
he's in a Men in Black costume.
Operations.
Appropriate.
But these agents became, if only inadvertently,
Hal Puthoff is basically like
various
a Timu version of the cigarette-smoking man from the X-Files.
However,
yeah, I would
the person
agree.
most intimately entwined in these various fields, hiding behind those lurking in the shadows, playing people off each other, and helping shape the cultural landscape, was a man named Cecil B. Scott Jones. For all intensive purposes, this man was the Aviary.
There you go.
Born February 19th, 1928, passed away January 16th, 2023. Meticulous at keeping himself out of the limelight during the time of his most active operations, but always present and a guiding hand in shaping key events in UFO
he manipulated
culture,
people from the shadows.
amongst many other high strangeness operations. He was key to the 1988 UFO cover-up live broadcast coming to fruition.
Yeah.
And actively brought players from the intelligence world into the UFO community to play various roles by donning mysterious pseudonyms. The CIA was well aware of this and celebrated it. It's playfully alluded to in an extremely odd CIA document, affectionately titled, "Would the real CB Scott Jones please stand up?"
That's interesting.
A bizarre 24-page monogram declassified in 2003, listing Cecil B. Scott Jones' association with key paranormal communities, how he was best situated for his elusive role, and his close proximity to all paranormal fields and the key players associated with them. And this was required for intelligence operatives to effectively operate and propagate their lies amongst them. This is the man who helped shape it all for decades. And the chances are you've never even heard his name. This is, of course, not by accident.
That's interesting,
Once
right?
retired, however, he didn't exactly shy away from it either. Like Doty, Puthoff, and Alexander, he wholeheartedly embraced it.
That's the fucking Wizard of Oz behind all this.
He's the guy behind the curtain. Exactly.
Propagating UFOs in the political world, using his intelligence connections with all of the aforementioned individuals. The question is, why haven't most of you heard about this? They no longer call themselves the Aviary.
Yeah, why
that
indeed?
was itself a clever nod to a far larger program being conducted by the CIA at the time, known as Operation Mockingbird, the systematic infiltration, co-opting, and consolidation of mainstream media by intelligence operatives. But today, decades later, who's really behind the curtain of the modern Aviary? Well, in my opinion, and that's all this should be taken as, an informed speculative opinion, there are several candidates responsible for propagating this behind the scenes today. Those who quietly take ears of prominent politicians, officials, and media personalities in an attempt to try and convince them of things that they know full well aren't real. Quite possibly the very same people who took aside Gary Nolan, tried to co-opt Sam Harris and Eric Weinstein, and who also likely steered Lou Elizondo into a sudden career departure and life dedicated to ufology, who are continually present and the active participants for all of the cornerstones of modern UFO mythology.
Yeah, so there's people behind the curtain we don't see.
For the leadership today are Hal Puthoff and Christopher Mellon. It doesn't really matter which. Both are involved behind the scenes. Ultimately, all of them are working towards the same goal for officials who sit behind desks at the CIA. However, whoever is pulling the strings today, using counterintelligence operatives in ufology as both a privately profitable, politically expedient and convenient smokescreen for various sectors, to confuse minds, derail lives, and send people down a rabbit hole that has no end, we may never even know their name. And to be perfectly honest,
I'd love to be a fly on the wall during
just
these
what they're
conversations.
amounts to nothing more than lies. The Aviary aren't mythical insiders guarding secret alien technology. They are professionally trained liars. Take a good look around at the UFO community. There sure is a lot of counterintelligence operating in it. And today, they don't use pseudonyms of birds. They're right out in the open and use their own names to add even more plausibility to their professional lies. And many of them do this right alongside the original members of the Aviary, in documentaries, podcasts, all over social media, and much like yesterday, today, they all claim their own extraordinary stories, backed up by nothing more than their own sincerity, using their own connections to the official world as a seal of authenticity that ignites the minds of those seeking answers. The Aviary never stopped trying to influence popular UFO culture.
No, they're still
It simply
here.
changed the way it operates. It slowly became UFO culture. They want you to believe. Please like, subscribe, and comment and share if you enjoyed
there
my
we go.
work.
Made
It truly
through.
helps more people find this content with the algorithm and will hopefully help this new channel grow. And you can also support my work on Patreon. It would be much appreciated.
Our group is euphemistically called the Aviary, and each individual uses a code name of a bird as an identifier.
A nod to Mockingbird.
To provide the UFO community with data, and we will continue to proceed in a way which we feel best suits our purposes.
Wow.
Damn, Steven, I'm surprised the director of this film didn't put a disclaimer. I am not suicidal.
Right?
Yes. Well, let me mention to the audience again that if you just want to watch the movie without us chattering over it, because people don't understand. We can't just put the movie up and sit here in silence while we're doing it, or it's not fair use. But we did have permission of the author, so I guess we could have done that. I think this is one of the best documentaries, the most truthful documentaries about the UFO world that's on YouTube right now. Techniques is saying amazing documentary. Yeah, maybe we'll have Digital Vortex come here and just do an interview about the whole thing, because I think it was excellently made, and so few people get that intelligence part of this. It's pretty obvious when you start picking it apart that this is what's happening. There's so many of them here. I can't believe how many intelligence people. And one point that he made in the film is, and I've made this here, these intelligence people have been doing this for decades, but they used to do it from the shadows. They used to be in the shadows and you didn't know who they were, and they were manipulating people and pieces, like manipulating the chessboard to play the game their way. And they would hide in the shadows. But something happened post 2017 and they're all just here, here I am, no longer in the shadows. So
Yep, just broad daylight being wackadoo. Yeah.
Interesting documentary. I highly recommend it. The link, as I was saying, is in the description of the video. And the Digital Vortex has a new documentary that'll be dropping soon. I can't wait, because this one is so good. And it's interesting that so few people know about this, because it really is like a second red pill to a lot of people. Like, you think you know this story. Like, let's peel back some of these layers of deception and show you the other part of the story that you don't know.
Right.
This
Yeah,
is
that's,
more
and being a skeptic
awe-inspiring.
is like being a fringe. Like it's like being a fringe on the fringe where we're at right now, because we like these stories and we like the culture and the lore, but we just don't believe in it. But we can't leave it alone.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're on the fringe of the fringe.
Yeah.
This is more awe-inspiring than the actual fucking disclosure shit. You know, all this shady fucking background manipulation, all these disinfo, ex-counterintelligence agents. And when you see the connection, fuck.
Well, you know what else is funny? Like, you know, this Thomas Pfister guy, he has Richard Doty on his show, and Richard Doty gives him $100, and then Richard Doty goes on his show and just says whatever he wants. So there's active participants. Like, you're taking money from a known government disinformation agent and just letting him spread bullshit for $100. Like, that's a cheap whore, if you ask me. Like,
do you think Fessler knows what he's doing? Like, is he intentionally like platforming this guy despite the fact that, you know, he has this shady history and, you know, he's just doing it for
I don't know why. I don't know why anybody would, except I will tell you this. I interviewed Doty once because I was working on a book project, and I wanted to confirm some things that I found in my book that I had as single source. Like, for example, I had a single source come to me and said, I worked with Richard Doty, and here's what you need to know about him. And he gave me all this information. But two pieces of the information that I thought was crazy was Richard Doty's father was involved with UFOs for the government. And Richard Doty's uncle, his father's brother, also was involved with UFOs. He worked on Project Blue Book. And I thought, well, that's crazy, because that means there's two generations of a family working on, it sounded like something out of the X-Files to me, right?
That's
like,
the legacy program, Stephen.
Yeah, it could be. Yeah. But so I wanted to confirm, get him on the record to confirm or deny that. And he told me, and he even shared information with me off air that confirmed that that was true. At least as far as I could tell, that his uncle and his father both worked on UFOs or something UFO related for the United States government. I thought that was crazy. But what I'll say is Doty gets ratings. Like, if you have Doty on, you're going to get more viewers. As stupid as it sounds, like, more people are going to show up to listen to a known paid government disinformation agent. It's so stupid.
Some people are into abuse.
Yeah, that's where we're at.
Yeah, I'm supposed to interview Doty sometime in October because he's under contract with Gaia for September. And Stephen, I'd love to get some hard-hitting questions to kind of hold him to task.
I mean, you know, I was okay. Like, people still, like, you know, people are always looking for something to attack me over. They're looking for an attack vector. And occasionally that Doty interview is an attack vector. Like, well, Stephen, you interviewed Richard Doty and he's a known paid government. I'm like, I know. But I was the only person in an interview that I ever am aware of that said, do you regret what you did to Paul Benowitz? Wasn't there a better way to go about that than to drive a man crazy? Like,
that's balls. What did he say to that shit? What can he?
It's on our YouTube channel.
What was it like? I was just doing my job.
Yeah, basically, you know.
Like, how can you wake up in the morning and look at yourself in the mirror, knowing that you erased somebody through manipulation?
Yeah, and for those unaware, he drove Benowitz so crazy that his family had to have him put in a mental institution. Because imagine if somebody you trusted from the government kept coming to you, showing you all this alien stuff, telling you that aliens are communicating to your home computer, flying you over bases and say, you see that? That's a flying saucer. You see that? That's the tunnel to their entrance to their base where they're doing human hybrid experiments. And they were giving them documents and shit that said top secret. They were all like theater, stagecraft. They looked legitimate. And this guy was a government contractor. He knew a little bit about the government, and he knew what top secret documents, I guess, should look like. But anyway, Richard Doty drove him so crazy that his sons and his wife had to have him institutionalized for a long period of time. And Richard Doty even went to him and said, oh, it was all a psyop. But by this point, Benowitz was so far gone, he didn't believe him. You know, he He said, no, the aliens are real. They're here. They're on Dulce Base. You know, imagine somebody doing that to your father or your brother or your neighbor, your close friend, you know? But somehow Richard Doty is a darling of the UFO community.
And you know what his supporters say, Stephen? They say that he's made his amends.
Well, I don't know how you make amends for driving somebody crazy, but okay, you know?
Yeah, he hasn't done like anything other than just sit there and do Doty stuff.
No, but see, there was a market turning point. There was a time when if he would show up to a UFO convention, he got shunned. And people were like, F that guy. He's a disinformation agent. But at some point, he became the darling of the UFO community instead, you know? And even in the interview, he was still on the cusp of that change. When I interviewed him years ago, he was complaining that like nobody will take me seriously in the UFO community. They don't really let me speak at the conventions and the conferences, and I have real information. And I'm like, but you were spreading disinformation. But the sense that I got about Doty was that he really enjoys messing with people in the UFO community and manipulating people. Like he got a sick thrill out of, he was telling me in the interview, it's on our YouTube channel here. He was telling me in that, oh yeah, I used to give Linda Moulton Howe the most out of this world wacky stuff just to see what she would do. And she ran with every fake story I fed her. And he was like giddy about that, you know, like it was odd. It was an odd interview.
Some twisted, sick shit, man. That is so fucking sick.
Yeah.
I wonder if they banged.
A lot of people said that. I don't know, rumors and speculation. And apparently a lot of people said that. Yeah, allegedly. A lot of people have told me, I can't tell you how many people have told me that Linda Moulton Howe was sleeping with Robert Bigelow, was his mistress, and that he used to pay her like all her bills and stuff. But I don't know.
I'm not going to lie. She was banging back in the day, man.
Well, she was a beauty queen. So yeah, maybe back in the day, but definitely downslope. Hey, this evening, she interviewed Lou Elizondo, Linda Moulton Howe, and I think we're going to cover that tomorrow.
Oh,
that's got to be it. That's got to be a laugh riot. Those two circle jerking each other off, right?
Can you imagine her asking him questions about werewolf faces?
Yeah, maybe she did. I don't know how wild it got. I'll find out later. It happened during our live broadcast. She started at 9:30 p.m. And I was thinking about doing that tonight, but I never like doing commentary over something that's live because just the luck of the draw. Sometimes somebody will do an interview and it's so boring that I don't want to make a show of my own out of it. It's just terrible. But I don't know. We'll see. We'll see how that goes, and maybe we'll do that tomorrow night at 9 p.m. Eastern. We'll take a moment to welcome back the live chat. Thanks for sticking with us. I appreciate everybody being here. So I think what this documentary teaches us is that there's layers of deception to this thing, and this is something I've been saying. That this is a construct. Disclosure is not real. It's a construct, and it's a deception, and it's built on many, many layers of different things. And here, Crypto Alchemist is here.
What up?
Can I get you anything? Like a fucking watch? Like, why did you join at the end, Crypto?
That's how I roll. I'm always late to everything.
He showed up when we were done the watch party, but yeah, we'll allow it. I
was watching though, and the fact that Lou and Linda are circle jerking, that's gonna be something else. Like,
I think
what a mental image
that one.
Right?
Yeah, and you know what? I think that even to the fans of Lou Elizondo, I want to ask, like, if he was really credible, would he be doing an interview with that lady, the grifting grandma?
Other fans of Lou, it's like his history is literally a government disagent, like counterintelligence. That's disinformation. That's literally his job, his career.
Well, he has superpowers, and he appeared as an angel to shake a terrorist bed with superpowers. So there's that. All right.
So it's Lou Elizondo that's appearing as the Archangel Michael for David Will's Quizcock.
Dude, that's exactly.
Did you know? Wait, let's talk about this for a minute because this shit is funny. Did you know that David Wilcock is right now claiming that the Two to Stars Academy stole his company's design for the spaceship, and then they, they took it from Stavati Aerospace somehow? He's saying that shit like right now. I'll see if I can find the clip because it's funny as hell. And
Will
I
Cook,
want-
you're a
got it from the
pussy.
same 3D printing website.
You're a pussy, Will Cook.
Allegedly. Yeah, it's just
definitely a liar and a delusional grifter, to say the least.
Oh, I just think it's funny. Nowhere in, listen, this is what I'll say. Nowhere on my 2024 bingo card did I have David Wilcock on one of his public live streams turning me into a villain and saying that I got him squatted and he's going to sue me and that I'm a Satan worshiping child predator, all in one stream. Like, I was like, what the hell? This is my life now.
Even from Canada.
David Wilcock is telling people this shit. It is crazy, right?
Steven, I think the worst thing that you did was probably maybe somewhat slightly trigger his divorce.
I might have, yeah. For those unaware,
how was that bad?
For those unaware, there are rumors, and let's leave it at that. There are rumors and speculations that one of the major reasons that his wife left him is because he put millions of dollars into this Stevati Aerospace. And I reported on what a scam that Stevati was a joke. Like, they never produced any products. They lied about making laser weapons for the military. They've been in business 30 years and we can't see an airplane they've made. So allegedly, she saw my coverage of what a shady company that was and lost her goddamn mind because David Wilcock gave that company all their money. Yeah.
That's hilarious.
Hey, yo, Steven, what's up with that cucumber shit? What's
well, we're going to report on that. We're going to report on that next week. It is apparently David Wilcock's ex-wife made some videos teaching women how to dill themselves with peeled cucumbers to keep their vaginas fresh and minty, I guess. I don't know. But yo, listen, this is also my life. Somebody sends me all this shit and listen, I'm looking at this and I'm going, it looks like his wife. It sounds like his wife, his ex-wife, but I don't know if it is. So then I have to do a whole investigation in the company that produced it. I emailed them, is this woman? And I sent them links. Like, they never got back to me. But then, and remember, I'm visually impaired. So then I'm like, I can't report on this, that she's making cucumber dildo yourself videos on porn. And listen, they're on porn sites. They're on every porn site you go to. You can find it. So somebody sends this shit to me and I go, wait a minute, I gotta confirm that this is actually her, because it couldn't just be a woman that looks like her, blonde crystal hippie bitch. You know how many blonde crystal hippie bitches there are in the United States alone?
Especially on porn sites.
Especially on porn sites. So I go, well, there's comments. And I start going through the comments. And in some of the comments, the woman who was actually doing the action was named Serena, and the video title said like Serena Cucumber Cleanse or something like that. But David Wilcock's wife is standing next to her telling her what to do with the cucumber, and I'm like, holy shit, but I have to confirm that it's actually Wilcock's wife or ex-wife. So I go through all the comments, and in some of the comments, some people are like, Serena is so beautiful and I love what she's doing, but I'd love to see her instructor, Beth, do it next to her. And like, and they kept saying Beth. So I was like, oh my God, David Wilcock's wife is doing cucumber porn videos on porn sites. This is crazy. And in fairness to her, it's a years old video. And listen, medical disinformation waiver, don't do that. It's apparently not good for you.
Don't rub yourself with vegetables or put them inside of you, unless it's your mouth.
Yes, don't do anything with vegetables except eat them, right? So
Will Cook was probably filming that shit.
No, I don't know. No, there was a film company involved, so I don't think so. And I think it was before she even married him, but I don't know. I'm gonna have to do some more research.
It's like a really high-end
and then,
site.
Here's the funny thing. I go through the video and I'm like, can I broadcast this if I just black out the relevant, the titties and I'm like, I don't think that this is YouTube friendly, even with blackouts on it. No,
Actually, you just got to say that it's educational, that it's an educational video.
I've made some still images, and that's how I'm going to show it. Because in the beginning, the girl's like robed up before they peel the cucumber. Beth's like holding the cucumber, and there's even this funny part where she's like, "This one too big, this one too small, this one just right," and then she tells her to peel it, but leave a handle of the skin on it so that you can really grip it good. And then this girl sitting on the bed next to David Wilcock's ex-wife disrobes herself, and she's just laying it all out there. And then she's telling her to like warm up her the JJ. It's something else, man. Yeah,
she's a fluffer. She's a cucumber fluffer.
Yeah, cucumber fluffer. Yeah. But for those unaware, Wilcock threatened to sue me and all this nonsense and said I was getting arrested. And like, you know, I had to make sure. So I had to talk to a lawyer and then we had a review. I don't know, all this shit that I did, you know, and then I had to I'm getting insurance. So that's going to be done this week. I did all this I had to do all this paperwork. It's ridiculous. But the good news is after this week, I will never allow anybody to gag me ever again, because if somebody threatens to sue me, like, well, good luck, because I have $1 billion insurance company and an army of lawyers, and you're going to be fighting with them, not me. And then the other layer of protection is they can't sue me. They have to sue my company, which has like $200 in the bank. So good luck recovering any damages or whatever, but I still wanted to have that media insurance in place to cover crazy people. So, but after that, like, and by the way, I haven't stopped my research about Wilcock. I've been collecting the shit that he said for the past couple of weeks when I didn't do a show on him. And there'll be a hell of a comeback show for the wacky world of Wilcock, because there's a lot of shit and he is dumb as shit. We've got
his ex-wife and cucumber,
including his ex-wife and the cucumber Dill conspiracy. Yes. And also, he's saying really stupid shit publicly. Like he's claiming that he's giving money to one of his friends from his charity. That's illegal. You can't give money from your charity to a friend or a family member. So good luck, Mr. Wilcock. And today I posted this because this is funny as shit too. And then the other thing is, the last time I checked, comedic parodies are still legal in this country. And a lot of what we do about Wilcock is a comedic parody. Right? Like it's a joke. And he's saying he's going to get me arrested for this. He's saying he's going to sue me. And, you know, that's just an attempt to stop somebody's free speech. So here's David Wilcock telling me that I'm getting arrested and all this shit, but this is a comedic parody. And, you know, I just want to say that I believe in my this is art, okay? What we're about to witness is goddamn art, and nobody should have the right to stop an artist who's making such great, fantastic, world-changing art out of this whole situation. Wilcock threatened to sue me. He said I was getting arrested, getting investigated, and maybe I could get a plea deal, but I'm still going to jail. And I made art out of it, okay? Because I'm an artist, and an artist should not have their artistic spirit stomped all over by some crazy asshole living in a multi-million-dollar mansion telling people
next
to take
you have to make a video
pants.
of a bunch of these Wilcox bots coming and arresting you, right?
Yes.
In this situation with the person, Steven, who's doing this, he keeps getting himself more and more incriminated every time he makes a video. It's kind of amazing. His latest video has created a whole bunch of new problems for him that he didn't have before. I don't know why he keeps making public statements and admitting to what he's doing, but
this is art.
For your own sake, please just get an attorney. And the first thing the attorney's going to tell you is stop talking online, stop making attacks. The best you're going to get is maybe a plea bargain. You're definitely going to jail either way.
Like, continue.
And then I got swatted with 2 different emails that were sent to Boulder Animal Welfare filled with all these lies, provable lies, which is defamation. That's the real version of defamation. And I got the business card on my front door, as I said. By the time the officer had arrived, the dog was already gone. But this officer was here to try to say that I was an animal abuser because initially they believed these fake emails. And then I had to explain everything. That the attack came from these 2 emails, those were lies. I explained about Steven. And then the entire office has been informed, and they basically demanded that I do a lawsuit, which I'm now in the process of doing. Somebody said that Stephen is nothing more than a useless troll. The fact you're here representing him is sad and desperate. I don't really want you guys hating on Stephen. I feel sorry for him, but he's gotten himself in a lot of trouble. He's only maybe if he can give us the names of who's paying him to do this, we'll give him a plea bargain or something. That's probably his best chance now. He really does need to get an attorney and stop making public statements. Every time he does, he's getting himself more incriminated. He gave us so many gifts in the show he did yesterday. It's incredible. So I don't feel bad about that. I was like, yeah, please do shows, but you're not winning anything. And
I'm winning.
I'm winning, you bitch. Actual legal advice from an actual attorney and not just other trolls.
Okay? But he gave all his money away to a faulty UFO company. What are you going to win, Steven?
Oh, I'm not. I never said I would sue him. I did. But you know what the funny thing is that this guy's on a public live stream to like 100,000 people or however many views he gets, telling people that I'm a Satan worshiping child predator. But he's going to sue me for slander. And what is his evidence that I'm a Satan worshiper? Oh, I wore a devil mask in a comedy bit on my show. That's his evidence. It's Steven. So stupid. This whole thing is so stupid. And now we're going to add another layer of stupidity to this because his ex-wife is making cucumber dill yourself videos on porn sites. Okay? This is my life. This shit ain't funny.
That art you made, Steven, that art you made, it gave me the weirdest boner ever.
I know people are saying I should put a warning label on that because they just watched it on Twitter and they're like, "Holy shit, what is this?" Right? And you notice how he said, "I'm not winning." I beg to differ. I think I'm winning this thing because in the court of public opinion, are we going to let this guy stop me from making great art? I don't think so. No, I can't. My artistic soul will not allow this injustice to continue any further. Yeah.
I love it. I'm enjoying this. And power to you, Steven, because this guy, it's beyond a grifter, the fucking lies that he sells to these stupid people. And there's so many of them listening. It's like, how the fuck pardon my language, does he get thousands of people watching live at a time? I don't know. I think a lot of it is bots. I think a lot of it is bots. He got caught before using bots a long time ago. It's like the freaking YouTube.
But you notice how he always
notice that giving health information. He should be canceled.
But here's something that's interesting. Who has about the same number of peak live viewers every single show? Nobody. It goes up and down. His is always around the same number, and he always comments on it. Okay, we have 5,000 people watching right now. I feel like it's bots, and people have said that he buys his own books to, push him up in the ranks on Amazon. I don't know, but I just think, like I said, I didn't have this shit on my 2024 bingo card. And really, I just kind of I was walking around in the woods thinking about this shit. I'm like, the fucking guy from Ancient Aliens is yelling and screaming at me on a public YouTube live stream, telling everybody I'm a Satan worshiping child predator, and he's getting me arrested, and there's an investigation. And I'm like, what the hell happened? What the hell, man? It's funny, though.
All publicity is good publicity, right? So why not?
Well, yeah, but he's a pussy, though. He doesn't say my full name because he doesn't want followers to find me.
This guy, Steven from Canada, right?
Guess how many found me, though? Do you know how many of his people came over here and then they started emailing me like, oh, my God, is he really lying to us? Yeah, he's really lying to you. Check, we have evidence. I have receipts for everything.
No, the blue avian aliens are really out there and coming to save you. He's not lying at all.
Yeah, oh, it's so stupid. And then, you know what was also funny is Macario grabbed these clips because I think it's hysterical. David Wilcock just sold out Corey Good and called him a liar for $100 super chat.
Oh, wow.
Did you know that? Somebody sent $100 super chat and asked him if Corey Good was lying about all that shit. Look at this. This is funny. And by the way, fair use. This is transformative work. We're educating the public. This is fair use.
And Steven defending himself with the character of David Wills.
David Wilcox sells out Corey Good for
So
$100
Chris
super
just
chat.
donated $100 and said, I followed Corey Good information from the beginning. I saw all the episodes of Cosmic Disclosure. Do you still believe Corey was mostly telling the truth in Cosmic Disclosure? I have to be very careful what I say here. I do think that some of what was coming in for him was telepathic and it was coming from the right place. I also think that most likely there was free association and imagination involved based upon what he himself, his own statement and admission in court under oath. Okay. You can't really take that back, you know, and I also know that the insiders who I work with in Stavati.
Oh, they're insiders.
Said that they don't believe what he said. But
okay, so the insiders that I had,
they didn't say anything. We were talking about things that are approximately correct. But
now
again, I don't want to go on any insider testimony. I don't want to bring out new insiders and just have somebody say, okay, here's what I know and here's what they told me, whoever they are.
Right? Like that guy right there. Like, what?
Yeah, and the funniest thing is like he's basically saying that my new fake insiders are saying that my old fake insider is fake.
Nobody wants new insiders to come out and say what's happening. No, that's literally the purpose of a whistleblower, you fucking retard. Like, what are you talking about? Like,
exactly. It's so stupid. It's just so stupid.
God, what a pussy.
This
is
is
a fucking
Wilcox
pussy.
world. Yeah, it's pretty bad. And you know what's funny is he was just crying that he had to survive a week in the wintertime, or he had to survive a week-long power failure. And Macario, he's great at finding all the clips. I love that guy because I used to spend hours and hours looking for shit. Now I just go to him and he's got it. Wilcox was crying and complaining that he had to survive a week without power at his $1 million mansion. And I mentioned it to a few people. I go, he's got a car-sized generator next to his garage that can power his entire house for indefinitely. Macario found the clip, and he can't. Mr. 180 IQ, who's going to be the father of anti-gravity and give us free energy powered free hover cars, can't figure out how to turn on a generator. There's a clip of it. It's so great.
Are you serious?
Yeah. He can't figure out how to turn on the generator. I'll see if I
This
can find
dude's got no shame. He weaponizes his sympathy.
Yeah,
to get
everybody
money out of
feels
his
sorry
audience.
for him. Yeah, everybody's got to feel sorry for him. It's constant. He's constantly crying like, "Oh, I have no wife and whatever."
Master manipulator, great at social engineering. That's for sure.
You can't even change the batteries in a smoke detector.
Mm-hmm. But he's got a 180 IQ. He can't figure out how to change the smoke detector batteries, right?
He's got the fire department. Like, God, man, that sounds like something you would do if you were high.
Oh, I found it. I found the clip of the. It's funny because he opens this clip with saying, "You can laugh at my expense," and I think we will. We will.
So you can laugh at my expense.
Here's David Wilcox trying to turn on a generator. He can't figure it out.
Now. Oh, there's 2 latches. My God.
Can't even open a gate.
That's really stupid. Look at this, folks.
At least he admits he's stupid.
That's
By the way, fair use. Fair use.
Why? Well, I've never done this before.
Yes, this 180 IQ genius can't
Open
even
doors.
open a freaking.
Get all those air vents.
But look how big this generator is. This generator could power his entire
This
house.
is a
He
monster.
has a huge
It's
house.
50 kilowatts. Should be enough to run the whole house.
Why is he sitting through a
It's not
week-long
plugged into
power
everything,
failure?
so you see I dug all
Because he
the
can't
stuff
turn
out
this fucking thing on. He's
with
so
all this
dumb.
trouble. And then
Is that
even in
shit
here, you
gold
can see
plated?
the engine compartment. This is an all American, gigantic, noisy diesel, propane engine.
That he can't figure out how to turn on.
Serious amounts
This whole
of
video is him trying to figure
firepower.
out how to get it to turn on, and he can't. He
Let's
can't
try to
turn
fix
on.
that.
This is what I say.
Just
Men
did like a
build cabins. Bitches buy them.
Kung Fu
He
teacup
bought $1
dance
million
with the phone here, I
cabin,
think.
and he can't figure out how to generate.
So I
it.
dug all that out, and I was looking for a starter button. Like, okay, is there a starter switch in here?
Video to figure it
Where
out.
in the world would you hit the button if it's crapped out on you to make it go again. Well, and then I figured out that this also can open. This door right here.
Hey, I figured out a door could open,
Just
guys.
did swoopy-loo again. Let's try that. Come on. All right.
It was so stupid.
Okay, so there is a panel inside of here that I think is going to solve all of our problems. But I wanted to do it live, just like
What are you doing?
you know, our friend from Fox. I wanted to do it live. All right, so
why would you publish something so stupid?
see.
It's because he's that hurting. of a
Manual
drifter
set
that he has
exercise
to
time.
make everyone feel sorry for him. That's the goal here. That's
Oh,
what you
look at
have to
this.
do.
There's some
you're right.
instructions.
Everybody should feel sorry for me. I can't. I need money.
Too stupid.
gotta
I
get my
got it. I'm
generator.
too
says-
stupid to figure it out. Then send me more money.
Generator
Oh,
will
dude,
automatically start every Wednesday at approximately 10 o'clock p.m. and run for 20 minutes. Well, that's kind of true.
He doesn't even know how
I don't
to
know if it's
please a
always
woman. How's he
Wednesday.
going to turn on a fucking generator?
Clock might be a
You
little
can't
bit
turn
off
on a
here.
woman either. Oh,
Okay,
that's
so-
great.
Cucumber can
It
do
looks
that.
as if-
woman either.
Fox can't.
I think all I have to do is turn the circuit breaker on and off. So let's see what happens. Ready?
He probably hasn't even put fuel in the damn thing.
Yeah, exactly.
It's a free energy device. Hey, you know what? If he had free energy devices,
is
why
that
isn't
on?
he using it at his cabin right now?
Exactly.
Or do I need to put it back up again?
What a
Let's just put
blumpkin.
it back up again and see if that does anything.
Denied. So now we know he can't turn a generator
Well-
on or a woman.
Let's put it back down, because that makes a big click. Interesting sounds. I don't know what else to do here. Can we try doing the manual thing?
Maybe just the
Call a
operating
repairman.
Let's try that.
manual on the
IQ.
internet for one. That'd
I
be a
wonder
good
if he
way to-
call, do you think he thought about calling the fire department? Like, I can't turn my generator on. You
Back
gotta
on.
come here with a ladder.
All right, I got to read the instructions, folks.
Oh, there we
Patty
go.
Williams
Read
said
the
it's
instructions. He never got it working because he was using a little camping one, you know, in some other video that he bought, I guess, because he couldn't figure this one out. That's the guy
This
who's
guy
going to be
runs
the.
a fucking aerospace company?
Yeah.
No, he
Yo,
runs a
listen,
shell
no,
of a
to
company
be fair,
that is
just to be
stealing
fair
money
and
from
clear,
people
like
who does that.
I am not a gasoline or diesel engine guy, but I'm smart enough to know, like, if this will power my whole home and I can't get it working, call a guy. He's got all this money. He lives in $1 million mansion. Can't you call him?
The sticker on the side with the phone number of the operator
He's gonna-
who installed it.
You know how many, like, I have a friend that does HVAC. Do you know how many people have to call him when wintertime comes and their heater just didn't go on, or their, you know, that there's no shame in that. You call the guy and he comes and he does it for you because he knows about those things. But not Wilcock. He's a genius.
He'll probably call like the post office to help him or something stupid.
Yeah, you guys got to come here because I ain't have no power and my generator's not starting. And I got to do a live stream. He's so, yeah. And when we find out he's on his luxury vacation and he's staying in these very expensive cabins that are like $500 to $1,000 a night while he's crying that he's broke. And he's on a 3-week-long luxury vacation. It's awesome.
Yeah.
Mind blown.
What
I
a
feel
fucking
like they've
pussy.
just
He
lost
needs some like
count.
assisted home living or something already.
Yeah. Well, I think we're going to wrap things up here. I appreciate you all coming here, even you, Crypto, who came in late after the event was over. Leave it to Crypto. Like, well, I'll just show up when they're done, you know.
That's how I roll sometimes, but better late than never, and that was fun. Thanks for having me on, and great work.
Yeah. We're going to do a regular panel show next week, so I'll let everybody know. I have like, it takes me a while to get over the trauma of each panel show before I decide I will do it again.
Right? Oh my god,
those things are crazy. People fall over drunk. People porn bomb us, and bomb
right.
us.
There's all like the porn bombing is the worst part because it's like, you motherfuckers, stop trying to fuck with my channel, right?
Yeah.
Like, I've lost a channel to that. I know how it is.
I got to stay on the ready. As soon as I add a new person, I keep my mouse right on them and on remove, and I just one click and I can get rid of them. Because if they do that, I got to take the whole show down.
Like an overlay over, right? So it's like, even though you bring them up, there's an overlay. So it's like you can see what they're trying to do, but the audience can still only see the overlay at the moment.
Well, I mean, if it's a split second and you realize it and take it off, they really shouldn't blame you on YouTube, but they do. Yeah, they'll just say,
I lost my first channel. It was, literally, it was 12 hours into a 24-hour stream that I was doing. 12 hours in, I was like, okay, I'll post the link in the public chat. And some guy joined for 10 seconds, and it was like some Southeast Asian dude with something like this big wiggling around for 10 seconds. I booted him. The stream continued for another 12 hours, and then 2 weeks later, YouTube terminated my channel.
Yeah, wow, that's terrible. Yeah, David Wilcock fans will jack off on the panel show just to take you down. Well,
exactly. They will.
All right. Well, yeah, we can restart it.
Ex-wife,
delete the old one and restart it. We're not gonna let him or anybody else stop what we do here. But and by the way, I have a feeling I know who was doing that before, and he's kind of somebody that I busted his grift so long ago that I don't think that he's paying attention anymore.
Oh.
That's good. That's good, right?
Yeah, we have new, bigger, better, competitors. I don't want to say enemies. I don't like to believe that I have any enemies. What's funny with Wilcock is I feel like making him a deal. Like, listen, why don't you stop threatening to sue me, and I'll come work for you for 3 months, and we'll clean up your whole situation, and you give me half, right? Like, that'll be my grifting off of Wilcock, fixing his grift. If anybody can fix Wilcock's grift, I can. I'll fix the whole grift, dude. We'll get that shit. Forget 10 grand a month. We'll be making 100 grand a month. I got all kinds of shit. I've been collecting stuff for Grift Month. Did you know about that, Crypto? This is my new plan.
Really? I like it.
It's so hard to make money doing this the honest way that I think the audience will forgive me if 1 month out of the year I go full grift. I'm just grifting for the entire month, and then we'll go back to the honest way. But I've been collecting up. I got flashlight LED, UFOs. I got UFOs. I got all kinds of stuff.
I can run a 1 month grift after your 1 month grift ends. I like it. We'll do it.
Yeah, we'll take turns, right? Grift month. But don't you think it would be funny? I think it would be funny. Especially, look, the audience is going to know this shit's all fake and it's a goof. But then we can generate with clickbait titles and like cool UFO videos. We could generate like our whole year's budget for the show and not worry about money for the rest of the year. Because look, I've been studying these grifters. I think I could grift better than all the grifters.
I know, right?
Yes.
You've compiled you've busted so many. You know the ways. And
yes.
Yes.
Operation Shutdown says Stephen will turn the grift knob to 11 for 1 month. That's right. Turn that grift knob all the way up. Yes. Yes.
We should have a law of attraction.
To see how many viewers you actually gain in that month, right? If like your numbers.
Yeah, but then they're going to be then they're going to be disappointed because they'll watch the regular videos and they'll be like, "Damn, it's all fake. What happened to all the cool UFO
right,
videos?"
Your numbers go up straight up for a month and plummet the next and lose them all.
Steven, don't sell your soul, man. If you can't beat them, join them. But I don't see you selling your soul, bro.
No, for 1 month I will. I will sell it. We gotta survive. For 11 months out of the year, I will be a public benefit, educating people about the grift and trying to teach people to look beyond the veil and behind the curtain and see through the layers of deception. But for 1 month out of the year, in order to fund ourselves, I think that's a fair compromise. The only thing that I worry about is that maybe I'll start the next year. I'll go, listen, we're going to need 2 grift months this year. Then the next year, we're going to need 4 months out of the year to be grifters.
Before you know it, you'll be working for Lou Elizondo. Right?
Yeah, I'll be working for Stephen Greer and Lou Elizondo. Play both sides.
AKA the U.S. Deep State.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, and Algaray says it worked for third phase of fake. That reminds me, this weekend I'm going to rebroadcast the entire Corey Good deposition and the 2 third phase of moon documentaries and something else, which I don't recall at the moment. So tomorrow night, 9 p.m. Eastern is the last live show for the week, but then we'll have these Friday, Saturday, and Sunday shows, and they're long. They're like,
Yeah. I was watching your Wilcox one that you put together the other day. It was like 6 hours in and still going, 8 hours.
That was 12 hours. The limit is 12 hours. And I thought, well, I need some views, so I'll just slap a bunch of these bitches together and we'll get an update before I do new ones, which hopefully should come next week. We'll do new ones.
Well, thanks for having me on, man. Good work.
Yeah, good to see you again.
Next week.
All right, you have a good night. Good night, Mr. Crypto Alchemist Burn Eye. Do you know that this guy once drank some weird alchemist shit on the air and people thought he was going to die?
Right now, I got gold water.
No, don't do it on my show. He was drinking some kind of chemicals, and everybody's like, what if he dies on your show, Steven? I'm like, I don't know what the hell he's drinking. He's drinking some kind of experimental chemicals like Dr. Jekyll. He's crazy. All right, so we are Steve in Canada. Thank you for being here as well. I appreciate that you joined the panel. You know, everybody always wants me to open the show up, and then I do, and not very many people join. But maybe it's short notice, like I got to do this in advance, right?
Well, yeah, I mean, it was civil, wasn't crowded, and no dicks flopping out or nothing. So, yeah, good run.
Yeah, Operation Shutdown says the Corey Good depositions ended his grifting career. Maybe. He certainly has no kind of influence like he used to. Yeah. Well, I appreciate you being here. We are Stephen. Don't be a stranger. We are all Stephen from Canada.
Yes, we are.
All right. Okay. You have a good night. And George with the G, you want to plug? Tell everybody where to find the shit that you're doing and the stuff that
I am a co-host with the UFO No podcast with producer Ben Austin, and we cover shit from the contrarian perspective like Stephen Cambion does. You're a big inspiration.
Oh,
Stephen.
And by the way, I'm so sorry. We were supposed to. I'm terrible to get to be a guest, and you asked me to do that.
It's understandable. I know you're a busy man.
No, but here's the deal. Here's what I'll do. I will do that for you, but I get a copy of it, and then I can use it for a night I need off. Is that okay with you? Then I'll do it. We'll set it up.
It'd
Just
be an
email
honor.
me, and
Thank you, Stephen.
We'll get to do it.
Aloha.
All right. You have a good night, George with a G. UFO No podcast. It's good to see that there's more critical podcasts and guys that have some balls. And George has got to know he's not going to make a lot of money doing this the honest way, but it's good to be a public benefit, and we try to do that. And I'm glad to see there's other skeptical channels that are rising. I think people are getting tired of the same old nonsense, right? Yeah. So we've done our due diligence. I want to just bookend and say once again that the link to the film is in the description of this video or podcast. I'm going to be supporting Digital Vortex in some way. I think I can buy him a coffee or join his Patreon or something, because we saw tonight that was an excellent film, and I like when an artistic, cool guy like that. When I ask him, like, "Hey, can we do that? Can we use this on my show?" And he's, go ahead, it was great. And we'll see if we can't do an interview with him. He's got a new documentary coming out that maybe we could play some clips of and talk to him about. Zamulus the Holy, thanks for being a member, says, Stephen, you're the PBS of ufology. It's funny you mentioned that. We're a viewer-supported show. So just so people are aware, we exist through the kindness, generosity, and support of you, the viewers. If you want to help, in the description of the video is ways that we can help. Stephen is here sharing cucumbers. This is the world that I live in. I had to watch a woman pleasure herself with a cucumber for research purposes. This is my life now. We want to thank our kind and generous benefactors, you Patreon supporters, you YouTube channel members, PayPal pledgers, YouTube channel members. Oh, I said the channel members, Twitch subscribers, you super chatters, super thanks people. For those unaware, we read every single super chat. If you send a PayPal or buy me a coffee, just add a note and we read those as well. We appreciate all the support. Like somebody mentioned, we're the PBS here. Everything that we do is through everything that we do here is viewer supported, and we appreciate supportive viewers like you. We thank every single person. If you become a member during a live broadcast, we give you a big shout out and thank you. Sometimes you have an anniversary message, we give you a big shout out and thank you. Like Only Oscars, member for 1 month, says, I feel there are aliens in my house. Laugh out loud. We thank Rotary Motion for a kind and generous £2 super chat. Show me the money. I mean aliens. No other things to report, except I do have a message to read from somebody that gave me the biggest PayPal pledge we've ever gotten in the history of our show, but I have to find it. We'll make sure that I don't end the week before I read that, because it's a really touching message that somebody sent me. We really appreciate those. It makes me feel good to know that people appreciate what we're doing here. So we've done our due diligence. I'll be back tomorrow night, 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And I certainly hope that you will be here with me. Bring a friend. There's other ways to help us besides throwing money in our hat. One of the best ways is to take this video link and send it to some friends. I'd appreciate that. And if you haven't already, please do smash the subscribe button, hit that notification bell, and you'll know when we're doing one of these live broadcasts. And we would love to have you here with us. We appreciate all of you. If you're listening in audio podcast land, you are missing a lot of the fun. So please do go on over to YouTube, put Truth Seekers in the search bar. One word, look for me, the strange guy with sunglasses. Go there, smash the subscribe button, hit the notification bell. We love that. If you appreciate the audio podcast, we love that. But, we'd like to have you here live with us while we tape the shows. So please do that. Please do subscribe. And you can also send our channel link to some of your friends. If you enjoy this, you've got some weirdo friends that will enjoy this as well. We'd appreciate any help you could be as we continue to try to grow. So, my friends, we've done our due diligence. I will be back, as I said, tomorrow night, 9 p.m. Eastern Time. Hope you'll be here with us. That's all I got for you. Until next time, friends, my name is Stephen Canby, and good night, and God bless all of you.
Uploading acapellas, drum beats, and guitar riffs to the World Wide Web, from one countryside to the next.